FCPG Testimonies. What's your story that can give God glory? Is it healing? Is it provision? Is it protection? Is it the saving of a loved one that was lost? Is it the destruction of a stronghold? A breakthrough from oppression or depression? No matter what it is, I want you to share it with us.
Turn up your volume, all the time to get it. You're now turned into the sounds I'm fully committed. His grace and mercy, you heard me, so please lend me your ears. Grab up here, got an awesome story for y'all to hear. Shed a tear, these miracles are so touching. You might start jumping or break out running. The one who's coming said he never leave you lonely. And this here is FCPG Testimonies. Fully committed production group, 100% or repent. I am Grayce and Mercy, your host with the Holy Ghost, and you are welcome to another episode of FCPG Testimonies. Y'all clap it up, 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 clap it up. Hey, this is the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it, because I got my brother in the studio with me. Hey, most of y'all know, if you're really a FCPG Testimonies fan, you definitely know that Mrs. Mercy podcast was first, and we tell our awesome story about how we got married, but we don't really dive into the awesome church that we got married in, but this is a church full of awesome people, saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled people, amen. And then they showed us so much love, and I got one of my brothers here that is a prominent member of that church, and I can't wait to hear his story, because I heard a little bit a couple weeks ago, and that little bit was so good. I said, hey man, I had no idea you had been through that type of stuff. I only know you as big dude in the church, you know what I'm saying? But he was definitely a big dude in the world before he gave his life to Christ. So I'm not gonna keep talking. Y'all give it up for my brother Roland Jackson, y'all. Y'all clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Hey, how you doing today, bros?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed.
Yes.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity, the extension of, coming on your podcast.
Yes,
so,
yes.
I appreciate it, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Grateful.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. But we start off every episode, we just ask everybody, what was life like before you came to Christ?
What was life like before I came to Christ, man? That's a good one, and a very extensive, one. I mean, I could start off like, I grew up in a small town of Baxley, Georgia, out there in the country. Some people say it's the boondocks, to a lot of people. But to me, it's home, and as long as you have like a Walmart, you have...
You're definitely going to have a Walmart and a Dollar General.
Yes, your restaurants, and the people you came up with, you don't see it no different than how people might see it from the city. You see it as, this is home, this is where family at. So yeah, I grew up out in the country, but just because I grew up out in the country didn't make us absent of things that were going on, other places. So, people had their perceptions of how it looked in the country, and from television of just animals or something. But, life happens anywhere. There's a hood everywhere.
Hey.
There's criminals everywhere.
That's
There's
right.
people that are doing stuff that, ungodly anywhere. But I grew up, 2-parent household. My dad was a truck driver. My mom, she's a pharmacist, and which is ironic, to talking about this story. But she's a legal pharmacist, and just retired. Maybe like 2 years ago? But she's not fully retired, because she still go in and work. She still loves it. So she's the first Black African American pharmacist in Appleton County in Baxter, Georgia. So she's a part, of history. So, like I said, we grew up, we didn't want for anything. They both, like I said, they worked, both in their careers. But like anybody, in an area of where a whole lot is not going on, we're also influenced by music and television and everything else that happens. So childhood was, pretty good outside of the things that, you experience that are tough at times, just growing through, like growing pains of, wanting to be something, you know, that you're not, or just wanting to be something a little bit different because you see television, you see the city lifestyle, you think that what you have where you at is just not, you know, it in a sense. But childhood was good. I love the camaraderie as far as family growing up. All my family is pretty close-knit. Most of my immediate family live within walking distance from one another. You know, my grandma's house is maybe 200 yards from my mom, 200 yards from one of my uncles, 200 yards from my other uncle.
Yeah,
and
a real country living.
Yeah, you drive around the corner and that's your second set of cousins and they whole plot of family and land. And you drive around the corner, there's their whole plot of family and land. Third cousins, it just keep going on. So life was pretty good coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any ministry background, church background, or is it just both of them work?
Man, I grew up in the church.
I
spent as much time as the church was probably open. We was there because my grandma was over the kitchen at the church. She was over the youth program at the church. So if she was doing something, we had to be involved. You know, over the free lunch a lot of times, stuff in the summertime. So we at the church. You know, taking the video games and stuff like that to the church or whatever. But we spent a lot of time in church. That's what makes it so crazy about the lifestyle. You know, my brothers and myself chose it, you know, at one point. Like, we grew up. When I got older, I worked with the audio area of the church, and I was training to be like the little superintendent, you know, person at one point. You know, my mom served on the usher board. So the family is really ingrained in the church. The church was maybe, a few miles away from my house, but I mean, we literally grew up in the church. So if they had church that morning and that evening, we was there. If they had it on Wednesday, we was there. If they had some kind of church convention, you know, we was there. So we grew up in, I grew up in the church all my life at Thankful New Jersey Baptist Church.
Thankful New Jersey Church in Baxter, Georgia.
Baxter, Georgia. Thankful New Jersey. You know, I didn't think about the name until I got older. I'm like, New Jersey.
Right. Not New Jerusalem, but New Jersey.
But you know, most of the churches you go around and you see, I tell the joke a lot of times, like, you might have little Charlie Baptist Church, you know, little Willie Baptist Church. Some of them names, you don't know where they came from, but yeah, Thankful New Jersey Baptist Church. Great little staple church in the community. You know, we've had some of everybody, you know, probably come through there, and, you know, some great, you know, ministers and pastors and preachers, you know, come out of there. But yeah, we grew up in the church, man, all my life.
Yeah. Did you so I know a lot of time, like, we grew up in church, but we don't really have like a super holy background per se. You know what I'm saying? So like, was it anything in that time that kind of pricked your heart towards the Lord? Like, because I know, I'm pretty sure your grandmother was definitely a great example. But like, what about like what you saw in the household, or maybe God maybe showed you something personally when you were younger? Did you have any type of experience like that?
Man, one of the experiences, I was in a revival, and I tell this story because, and my brother, I ended up preaching it when I went back home, maybe like a few months ago at a service that I was giving the word at, where they brought me back, you know, and gave the word. I think it was during the youth. I can't remember if it was doing like youth service or something like that. But I tell this story. My brother, we was in revival, man. We had to be like all of 7, 8 years old. And the pastor was talking about, you know, various stuff or whatever. You know, you be back there playing and stuff at that age. And my brother, the pastor must have said something about him being called by God. And my brother, Terrence, my baby brother, looked at me, and I don't even know if he remembered it 100%, but he was like, hey, what you gonna do if God called you to preach? And I was like, do I have a choice? I don't know, you know. So I asked my mom, like, hey, Mom, like, so how do God call you to preach? Like, do he do it in some kind of closet somewhere, or, you know, something dark, you know, how does this happen?
Yeah.
And she was like, son, you'll know when he call you, you know, if he call you, you'll know, you know. that was one of the monumental probably experiences that I had, that you know how things happen and then you don't really go back to it until later on when God is bringing you to a certain place, you start bringing back up your memory. But we wasn't really righteous in a sense. We got baptized because it was the thing to do, I think. You know, Mom was like, hey, it's time to get baptized, you know, so hey, you can go on up there now when they're doing the call, you know, go up there. So I got baptized, but I can't say that I was filled with the Holy Spirit in a sense in that moment. Yeah. You know, I just was doing what was common to do because they said you couldn't take communion either. Until you you couldn't take communion until you baptized.
That's right.
So I was like, well, you know, I go up here because, you know, young, you was kind of shameful, you know, to go up there. You got to go up there in front of the church. Everybody see you walk up there. So you struggle with, you know, going up there before the church. So I went up there and, you know, I got baptized, but I can't really say that a whole lot of change happened in that moment. But I can always rely on that there were seeds that were planted, you know, over time period. Because if I'm at this place where I'm at, you know, now, but we was rambunctious in a sense. I had one of my old classmates was like, man, you need to apologize for all this stuff y'all done took y'all mama through, man, all that, doing all that like crazy or whatever. Because we in the church, but, you know, we influenced by, in the country, like how you might feel like music and everything is impactful influence for people in the city. It was bigger for people that lived in the country because we didn't have an image of a lot of the stuff that was going on. You had to kind of paint the picture. So it was more enticing, you know, to kind of get into that stuff because you got people that were maybe in the city that lived that lifestyle, but they had to live that lifestyle. You know, for me, it was more fascinating because I grew up, I didn't really want for anything like that. And so hearing the different artists that came out and music that came out, it influenced a certain lifestyle. So it was like a projectile, you know what I'm saying, in a sense on it. So that's why I have, you know, more of an understanding of what like images and what entertainment kind of does for you, even movies. You know, you didn't really hear about somebody getting shot and killed like on the regular. You know, when it happened, it was a shock to the whole city. I mean, I remember when this, you know, one kid got killed there, it was like a damper over the whole city forever. It seemed like, you know, because we were actually sitting in church with his mom doing revival. And while revival was going on, she leaped out of her seat. And we all looked at her like, what is going on with this lady? And she sat back down and then she walked outside the church, came back in. And by the time she came back in, somebody was running in to get her out of the church. Jesus. Basically to tell her that her son had been shot. You know, he ended up dying. But I'm thinking she must have felt it when it happened, you know, and she jumped up because it spooked all of us. It was like, what made her jump up out of her seat like that or whatever? And so I remember when he died, that was also during the time when Tupac was making that song, Remember Kato, because we used to always think that Tupac was talking about that Kato, you know, but like, why would he you're talking about Kato from our hometown because it's a small place. But it was a damper because it didn't really happen like that. And so like media and music and different stuff like that, it was very appealing to us because it wasn't really happening. It's easy to play gangster when it ain't no gangsters outside. You know what I'm saying? And then it was easy to become the bully when it really ain't no bullies out there. So we kind of took on a persona too of like later on being bullies in a sense, like, because we got into robbing and stuff. You know, we got into, you know, taking and different stuff like that. And so before, when we got into like the music and it, you know, enticed this lifestyle within us. So it's easy to walk around with $1,000 or $2,000 in cash on you when I ain't got to pay for no rent. I ain't got to pay for nothing. You know, I grew up in a household that, so you walk around with a wad of cash, you at school, because one time, my mom, somebody reported me or something one time from the school. She was like, they said, well, you know your son be carrying around like a wad of cash or whatever. And she was like, that boy ain't got no money. That boy broke. He ain't got money or whatever that. And so she asked me one day, you got, I said, you know I ain't got no money. I ain't even got no job, you know, whatever. But that's, I guess I'm jumping. I don't want to say I'm jumping ahead of myself, but that's going into the part where I started personally I started selling dope when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I remember me and one of my buddies or whatever at the time, bought our first, pound of reefer weed, and that set the course of everything there. And I think being hyped up off the music and stuff, it made trapping a whole lot different, because a lot of stuff that we got hold to through music and different things and influence, some people wasn't doing, yet or whatever. And then the people that were, it was like a small select amount of them. Or you'll see the transition of people that came in that were doing it. Like, it may have been a generation before me, or just I don't want to say a generation. It could have been 7, 8 years before me, but that person is arrested, now, or those sets of people arrested. Then here comes, this next set, of people, and they doing their thing. And so I guess when it was our turn, or even my turn, I fell within the newer people that was kind of trying to do their thing or whatever. But I kept it hid, because I even at one point wanted to do a movie about it, because we had this church life in one sector, but then we had this nightlife in the other sector. And it just was show these boys that was like, okay, it was going to church, in church every Sunday, but these cats is still they out here selling dope, and they out here hitting licks. You know what I'm saying? They going different places or whatever, they hitting licks. And, some stuff it can't even be, I don't want to say of not released for the purposes of legal. I'll say that. Some stuff can't even be specified, because those are just, some things that just out there. But, we was doing that. And my mom, I think when I first started getting out there real bad, my mom ended up coming to me one night, because she used to always have dreams. And she would come and say, hey, what does this mean? Because I had this dream that you was going in a safe or something, or somebody said, there he go, messing with them drugs again. I was with my she was like, I was with my coworker in the dream, and we was riding along, and they seen you coming out of this area, and she was like, oh, there goes Snoop, because they used to call me Snoop. There goes Snoop messing with them drugs, you know what I'm saying, again or whatever. And so my mom came to my room and was like, hey, I had this dream. What does it mean? I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you what that means, And so having, it was 3 of us, at the household at the time. And then my mom, they ended up raising my cousin. So that brought 4 of us in the household. So I had my older brother, and I was technically like the middle child of the group before my cousin, who's like our, my brother, who was raised as our brother. And so we had our older brother who was on the right track, who got influenced, matter of fact, he just came home. My oldest brother just came home from the feds about, 3 years ago? 2 years ago now.
Shout out to brothers.
Yeah, he just came home. Shout out to, as they call him, a trad, country boy. But he did almost 20 years in the feds.
Sheesh.
Yeah, he did 20 years in the feds. They robbed the armored truck up in Fulton County. Robbed the armored truck. And he
big time.
Yeah, he did. But he was, he was doing this, which was crazy in doing that, because they was already doing they was doing their thing. They was kind of moving, moving their product, and everything. And you get greedy. You want more. You go to stores and you splurging, you shutting down a store, buying people's stuff in the store. And so the fastest money come, the fastest it go, you start looking at it like, well, I could just go hit a lick. I could just do a little bit more of this and go back and do it. So, yeah, my brother, he did about it right at, 20 years, for that. But, thank God that God spared his life, through all of it. But we, and God blessed me where I didn't have to actually do any, serious time, because I even had, outside of when I first started selling, dope, which you figure out later, man, that God hands be on you in a certain sense, and then you figure out later that your mom is like my mom was a really praying woman.
That's right.
And so it's times that it's stuff that's happened that it's unexplainable, that I don't, my brother being caught, with a pistol, that with a hot gun. Police putting him in handcuffs, putting him in the car. End up taking him out the car, letting him get back in his car, keeping the gun, and letting him go home.
What?
Yes. You know, stuff like that. Stuff like going through a roadblock, police taking dope off of you, asking you what it is. You know, I done been through a roadblock and police because they was actually waiting on me to come through a roadblock one day. And police took some dope out of my pocket, you know, it was cut down a little bit. Man, I sit there and I explained to him, I said, hey, it was some coke. And I was like, man, he's like, oh, looky here, what we found here. And I'm like, he said, what is it? I said, man, I have real bad headaches. So I take all my BC powder and I put it in a bag and I keep it on me like that just to keep from having it, you know, all over the place. He said, okay, and put it back in my pocket. You know, I done had the, you know, police officer take a crack residue bag, find it on me in my persons, going through a roadblock. I went through this roadblock coming from, I was at West Georgia at the time, but I came home. That's when I was getting back in the streets after I had left high school. Mm-hmm. And I was just getting back into the groove of things, and I had a bag on me, man. We went through a roadblock. I was on probably about like 4 X pills that night, driving through the roadblock. I'm high as a kite. And the police pull us over. But I would always, even though I would be on that, I would kind of use proper judgment in the say.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't take liquor. I wouldn't have open bottles of alcohol, wouldn't have smoking no trees until I got to a place, because those are things that if a police officer come up to you, they can automatically rightful search. Mm-hmm. So if I'm on ecstasy, I mean, I can explain more like, hey man, I'm just tired, you know, driving through or whatever. I got to do something extra for them to get me out of a vehicle. But, you know, that night they pulled us over, and in the roadblock, I had already told my people, hey, don't bring this gun, you know what I'm saying, with us. My brother and them, they straight where we going. And when we got there, we ran through this roadblock because I already sensed, you know, a little something before. And when we got through the roadblock, they pulled us. One of my partners was smoking, going against everything that I say, smoking. He thumped the blunt in the back of the car, and it was burning up through one of the girls' laps. So the police officer seen the smoke coming up and told us to pull over to the side of the road, snatch everybody out the car or whatever. So I take the rest of the X pills I had, thinking I wasn't going to be there for a while, and put like maybe 4 of them in my bottom lip, and they end up dissolving because we stayed there the whole time. So I'm freaking out, sweating, and police, they go in the car and they pull out this gun, and they like, whose gun is this? Look what we found here, and lay it on the car and pull out the clip and stuff, and nobody claimed it. Nobody would claim the gun. It was like, nah. He was like, man, if nobody claims it, then it goes on the driver. Mm. So I'm like, man, I ain't trying to snitch on nobody. Like, come on. I'm thinking like, come on, y'all. Nobody was like, nah, it ain't ours, it ain't mine. You know, they finna let me go down for this thing. Mm-hmm. And so this officer spots me. He was like, man, you look like that big nose guard that used to play football for Appleton County. And I said, yeah, that's me. He was like, where you at? I said, I'm up at West Georgia right now. And he was like, I got you still, you know, I got you, hang out right here. He said, no, this is what we gonna do. Whoever, if don't nobody claim the gun, then we putting it on everybody. And then her cousins, they was like, no, it's her gun, it's her. They went to, so I ain't have to tell, you know, who.
They went to snitching
for
you.
they went to talking or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm all over the place.
No, do your thing.
Yeah, because I done skipped areas, I feel like.
Oh, you good. Yeah. Get it, go ahead. We can always go back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So if I go back and I'm at high school, man, I got into that. Like I said, I was selling in high school, and then I got approached by a girl one day, and the girl, and I think what really excited me even when it came to drugs and stuff is because the people that usually would tell you no when you was normal, when you have something, they start telling you yeah. Mm-hmm. You have stuff that they want. So like girls that might have said, I don't want to deal with him, you know, you got you some money or whatever, you got you some dope or whatever, you got a vehicle. I got a vehicle, a Caprice that I ain't paid for. My mama done bought it. I got rims on it. You know, in high school, nobody, you know, other people don't have that. Back then, the 20s was I had the 20s on it, the Caprice or whatever, white Caprice. So I already had a little image going, was trying to grow my dreads out.
Yeah.
And so I started, you know, selling the green or whatever, and we was booming that, and girl approached me, was like, hey, man, you want to know where the real money at? I'm like, what you mean? She was like, you know, cocaine or whatever. And so I said, all right, you know, I dabble, and I started noticing, man, that when I started messing with it, it brought me to a different side or access to people that I didn't necessarily know that was, you know, messing around with, you know, cocaine. You'll be surprised at the amount of people that was actually using, you know, and it brought you in certain circles or whatever. And I always could, the people, like certain people I dealt with, you know, even one of, you know, my class, I ended up getting in trouble one time. I'll be honest, man, valedictorian, man, you know, she was using the whatever, and
The valedictorian.
yeah, and to the point, like during the speech, our graduation speech, I noticed it. I don't know if everybody else noticed. She was so high, she was kind of stuttering through the speech.
Goodness,
because she used to spend a lot of money with me. She would buy like an 8-ball like every other day, you know. So she'll spend about $1.50, and her mom must have figured it out, and she knew us. And so I remember one day she hit the 2A radio and was like, hey, if y'all ever sell my daughter anything again, I'll kill y'all, you know. But her mom, you know, she works in the school system, you know, too, but she had threatened to kill us if we, you know, gave her. But she would, you know, still be buying and stuff. But I think she was dipping in probably her savings and stuff and was buying and stuff like this. But I noticed the money was fast with the cocaine, and it moved real, you know, swiftly, and you didn't have to do a whole lot with it. I could go to a lot of parties because most of my town is predominantly white, you know, where I lived at. So we go to a lot of parties or whatever and do our thing. And then one of my buddies, man, I almost think I can't say it was malicious, but he ended up asking me, have I tried it, you know, before while I was selling it or whatever. And I was like, nah. He was like, you know, this girl you like, woo, you know, she want to try it, you know. And so y'all could kind of, you know, try it together. So, man, you know, we went and tried it together, man. And he was kind of coaching me through using the cocaine, and both of us. And it, I don't know, opened my mind up to something that probably shouldn't even been opened up, you know, too. And because it made everything seem different. It made the music sound different. It made just everything was like different to the point now I'm selling and I'm getting high for school. You know, I'm getting high on coke before I even go to school, you know. And I'm doing my thing in there, but I could manage a habit then because rent-free, car note free. My mama don't think I got a job anyway, you know, so she's supplying, you know, gas and everything. And so I could mess up some money and still have money, mess up money, still have money or whatever. And then I got into, you know, messing around with hitting licks. And so, because we were on to stuff that other people wasn't on yet, like in the country, like a lot of people, you know, like before everybody would leave their car unlocked, drive up to the store and leave it unlocked. People that were selling dope, they'll just be reckless with it. Hey, bring me this, and they'll bring it, you know. And I had an actual lick happen like that because me and my little brother, we, you know, look alike. So certain stuff that I wasn't, quote unquote, bold enough to do, you know, he'll do, you know. And so somebody will think both of us, we look just alike, so they'll mistake us for who we are. And so you could run a game was like, hey, you know, bring me a half of this, a half of this, a half of that, half of that. And back then, before people start taking somebody to run with them with a pistol, it was just free game. And so some stuff we kind of jumped on before it kind of got before its time. But long story short, you know, I went to college, went to West Georgia after, and was playing football, full scholarship there, full-fledged scholarship. I actually had the highest scholarship on the team because they was trying to get me to come there instead of going to, you know, another school, which I made. That was one of the worst decisions, I think, in my life, honestly, going to West Georgia. But coach kind of helped fool me there. I was supposed to wait and go to Florida like I wanted to, and I jumped the gun because I was getting high. So it clouded my judgment with everything that I was doing. So I didn't make the right, moves with it. And so I made a rash decision following behind a girl as well that was going to West Georgia. So I went up to West Georgia, man. And, things just went kind of crazy there because when I was there, that's when my brother, he came to one of my football games there, my oldest brother that went to the Feds. Because he came to see me in that one football game, he came to see me play. He sat down with me and he just wasn't himself. And he was like, hey, he just kept mumbling stuff all the time. And we went to go to a party and he sat in a vehicle. He just was all over the place. But he was trying to tell me that he think everything was finna go bad because they had just been in, the robbery situation. And somebody else had got shot, in the situation, somebody that was with them. And so everything was just kind of crazy because the person that got shot actually got shot with like a government bullet in a sense. So what they do is they start deteriorating your body. And so that's how they was able to catch them because when they dropped them off to like a hospital, the people alerted, hey, we got somebody here that's been, shot or whatever. And so my brother was trying to tell me everything was going to go, was going kind of crazy. And so I never forget that my mama called me and was like, hey, do you know what's going on? The feds, all them people are here. They done drew guns. Your grandma, all this stuff going on, whatever. And man, my stomach, I was like sick to my stomach, because he had told me about it. And I don't know what's going to happen. But they had got put on the death penalty when they first got locked up. So it really messed up my thinking with sport. A lot of stuff that was going on. And so after that, I started wilding out a little bit, more. I started going to class up there at West Georgia, man, and like, well, I'm going to transfer anyway, so I just hang out here. I started hanging in the neighborhood up there, man, and, selling and using heavy. So I just started going to class in general. And then when I got back home, and my mom was there, I never forget that day. She was at the house and we was looking at me going over to JUCO before I transferred to the school I wanted to go to, and was on the phone with the recruiter coach, and he was like, hey, we pulled your transcript, man. You got like 7 credits. He's like, if you came and you still got a red shirt, you got to sit out, if you come to school here. So, what you gonna do? And I looked at my mama, and that day it was like, okay, I'm finna run the streets, I guess, for a while or whatever. I just left out the house and called up somebody that was like, he threw me a couple cookies, a couple ounces of, crack or whatever. And I start kind of trying to do my thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And after that, after I was doing that for a little while, I had a moment in there, and that's probably the moment where you heard me talking about before, man. I remember even though I was out there selling, I was like using real heavy, and then I ran into a female that was like, using real, ended up using or whatever. She was a stripper, and we started, dating and everything. And it was just wild, man. I'm talking about crazy. But even through that lifestyle period, my mom, she used to always send scriptures in the mail, and they thought that my ex-girlfriend used to think it was weird. Like, man, why your mama be doing that? My mom would always send scriptures because she didn't condone the lifestyle, but she was still being used to still plant seeds and still try to encourage, And so I just, like I said, I got out there a little bit rough, and I was living that life and had a whole life that I was living over in Vidalia. My little brother, he was living over there for a little while because I think part of us was a little bit shattered, when my brother got, locked up. That kind of tore into us in a certain place because we had never experienced that. And when he first got locked up, like I said, they had said he was getting the death penalty. So that was like a damper for a couple, years until the charges kept kind of going down. And so, I had moments, man, where one of the craziest moments is when I was I almost overdosed, on the cocaine and the X pills and stuff like that. Man, I had been popping like a slew of X pills over the weekend and snorting coke as well, like drinking, smoking. And I remember my heart start skipping beats on like an early Sunday like morning, and it kept skipping and kept waking me up like pumping. And I heard this voice say, you know, go to this, because I was at somebody else's house, and I heard this, go to the refrigerator and grab some milk. And so I went to the refrigerator. I saw they had like a gallon jug of milk, and I drank probably half of it and went to sleep like a baby. Because I think I had heard before somewhere too that, you know, if somebody's about to OD, it's certain things that actually calm their stomach down. Because, you know, I ain't heard know about no Narcan or nothing like that. But I don't know. I was just popping so many pills that it was crazy. And one of the reasons I ended up having to pop, I had a similar situation because I had police had came when a tire had went out on the car, and I was trying to hide them. And when in the process of like hiding them, like I said, I stuffed them in my mouth before, and they started dissolving. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I had moments because people didn't used to they was like, man, how in the world are you driving? How do you drive? Because you hear people getting wrecked, getting killed. Mm-hmm. Man, I would be on, they were like, man, this dude be driving straight and he on about 4-5 beans. Like they like, man, what is going, you know what I'm saying, on with this person? And so it was just be moments where I felt like God was he had to be when I looked. He had his hand on me because I didn't OD. I had people that I knew that I started with that OD died from using, and with less stuff. You know, people that I was you know, closer to, that even some people that I did some, you know, crazy stuff with or whatever, they end up dying. You know, and I look back on it and I think about like, man, like I'm still here. You know what I'm saying?
Lord,
you look at it, and it's still here, you know. And just to fast forward a little bit, how I was out of school for some years. Mm-hmm. And I think I was living up in Atlanta or something at the time period. And I was home. One time I came home, and I remember being in the bathroom, and I was crying out within, and I was like, you know, God, if you I didn't want to do drugs for some reason, but it had a hold of me. Like I didn't at some point when you getting high, the chase is better than the actual thing. The fact that I'm finna go get high becomes better than the actual, you know what I'm saying, high. And you realize that you really just feeding something, and you're not necessarily getting high like that all the time. And so I remember I was on probation. I got on probation because while I was up there at West Georgia, I started getting into the check. The scam back then, scamming was the check thing.
Good God.
And so yeah, we was hitting them hard.
Well, you was a bad part.
Yeah, we was. Cause I ran into these cats, you know, with you, like my mama always say, son, like it don't matter where you go. Mm-hmm. If you carrying that same spiritual climate, you're gonna attract those people. And so when I was there, this climate that was around me, I wanted to go out into, because West Georgia, if you ever go to West Georgia, there's the hood is like connected on the backside of the camp. I don't know how it looked now. I hadn't been up there in a few years. Yeah. But you can leave right out the backside of the campus and go right over into the neighborhood. Mm. So it ain't hard to find. So you drive over there, I'm looking for some drug, you're going to run right into the neighborhood. And so I ended up running into a cat when I was up there. And how I got started was he called me one morning after we've been hanging, and he was like, hey, man, hey, can you got your ID on me? I said, yeah. He was like, can you come scoop me up, man? I need to go cash a check, man. I ain't got my ID on me. I was like, all right, I got you. He wasn't in school. He was, you know, a local. Uh-huh. Yeah, a local. So I go pick him up, man. The check is written out to me, to my name. I am thinking like, bro, how this check written out to my name that you got a cash? He's like, bro, listen, you know what I'm saying? He gave me some kind of story. Whatever the story was, it sounded partially believable. Especially after I went in there and cashed the thing, and everything was like, you know, boom. And so after that happened, this proceeded for a while. You know, started doing it. I was cool because he was throwing me a little something. And then I started realizing, like, bro, hold up. Where's you getting too big of a cut out of this? Like, who else are we paying, out of this money? Oh, we paying this person or whatever. But we wasn't paying nobody. I know he wasn't. All this money was going to, him. Taking most of till I got like, bro, I ain't doing this no more unless my cut, you know what I'm saying, bigger. So, man, we was like doing our thing, with the checks to the point, before all that bank scam stuff come up, they was doing that, back then. They had the company checks or whatever, cashing and stuff. And so I think I was being stupid one day and I put my information down on one of the checks to just ensure that people cash it. And so I put my license number down there on the check. And so one day while I was changing my tire, the police came, scooped me up. They was like, hey, you rolling? Yeah, all right, come with us. So when they told me what I got locked up for, boy, my whole world was crashing because I'm like, I'm done. With all the money that we done cashed and went to these places, we buying up clothes, you know what I'm saying? We spending most of it on drugs. And so,
how much money would you say you might have cashed during that time?
Man, it's probably thousands. Because at one point, we might have been cashing, even if you look on a small scale, like $500 every other day, on a check or something like that or whatever. And that ain't even including the other people that he was scamming. Because he even would get girls that had bank accounts and stuff, and because they know, what they call it, friend of the firm, they at least let you cash back then one big check in your account before they shut it down. So they might do like 10 grand or something like that or whatever in account. And so police picked me up, and I'm thinking it's over with because it's a slew of stuff out there. But man, they was like, yeah, we got you for that one check. You up there at this country store for $200 or $300 something dollars. It's like,
that's light.
I was like, thank God. But it still tarnished a little bit because regardless of it, that they didn't get all the other stuff, they still got me for forgery. So forgery was a felony and it's on your record. So now when I got this stuff on my record, I can't do certain places you couldn't get jobs or whatever the case was. But I played up under First Offender Act, and, if I did good on the probation or whatever, then I would be good. So when I started running the streets and came back home, I had to get a local probation officer at some point. And when I got the local probation officer, they had told me that he actually lied to me. But he said I had to go to school and get a job. She told me I had to go to school and get a job or whatever, and then they switched to probation officer, and he was like, yeah, you gotta, if you go to a school or college, you gotta go to one in state. You can't, because I was like, well, when I go back to school, I'm gonna go out of state. And he was like, you gotta go to a school in state. Come to find out, he lied to me. But I feel like it was all part of God's plan because I was looking on the computer and I'm like, man, Savannah State popped up on the computer. And I'm like, man, because I kind of frowned a little bit upon HBCUs, coming up, because you felt like you played ball, you was prominent, everybody knew you, and I was recruited by a lot of the SEC schools, mostly all the SEC schools. So you wasn't, black school wasn't necessarily on the radar at the time. And so, but that was what popped up on the computer. So something kind of drove me to like, okay, well, let me just check into this or whatever. And saying I got to go to school, so let me go ahead and, kind of fill out the stuff. And I called, and the lady was, we ended up calling the people there, and it was like, well, son, you got like a 0.7 GPA average, whatever. Like, how you
plan on getting into school?
how you plan on getting into school, with a 0.7 GPA average? And I'm like, I don't even know. So I wrote a letter to the school, had my mama type it up, wrote a letter to the school. By this time I was up in Atlanta staying, and the lady called me. She called me from Savannah State and was like, hey, I can't, I'm not going to tell you over the phone, but I'm going to just say, get your bags ready. Basically saying I had been accepted into the school, whatever. So they did accept me in Savannah State with a 0.7 GPA average.
Come on now.
So I ain't have none of the academics to even get in there. And they accepted me in a 0.7 GPA. And I jumped on the bus, headed back to the house, and then ended up going, finishing up everything to apply to go to Savannah State. And so, I was there. Well, I was at Savannah State I got there during the summertime, and I was trying to be, I guess, focused a little bit when I got there in the summertime or whatever, because I was away from everything. So I was focused, I say. And I was away from certain activity, but I still was into, my thing, doing my thing or whatever. And I went back home. Yeah. I ran into while I was at State, I came to the cafeteria at Savannah State, and I remember going over to this table because I was going through a lot at the time. I think I was halfway really depressed. And I remember going to this table, and this girl was just so like bubbly and jubilant.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Megan. Her name was Megan. And she was real bubbly, and she was like, "Hey," and I'm like, people don't usually speak to me. I got my long dreadlocks. I look angry. I look mad. And so she just was speaking to me or whatever, and she was like, "Hey," because I ended up sitting at this table randomly, and it happened to be the table that Commissioner Love sit at all the time in the cafeteria. And so I sat at that table, and at the table, I would, see people. I'm like, dang, they seem really like, loving or whatever. They all was just in good spirit every day. And so I think one of them invited me to something, I believe, one time, and I wasn't really paying attention to it. I went back home over the break or over a weekend or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was still dealing with my ex-girlfriend, and I had got real. Me and my partner had went up the road to pick up some work. But I'm still trying to dibble and dabble. I done got back at school. I think I'm doing all right. So I think I can, I can dibble and dabble. And so me and my partner went up the road to, pick up some work or whatever, and came back, and I had a little instant with my ex-girlfriend where I was over, because I was at Savannah State, but I was coming over and I was hanging in the trap over in Vidalia or whatever. And so I'm up in the trap, doing a thing, and I had an instance where we was going through something at the time, and she ended up doing something real flaky or whatever, and tried to call herself, I guess, playing me to get back at me for some reason or whatever. And so I ended up sitting around waiting on her, and I was getting howling out of the X pills and everything. And I ended up going over to her sister's house, and I ended up taking like this brick to try to get her attention, and I threw it. And when I threw it, like the first time I threw it, it hit like the porch. Then the second time I threw it, my foot slipped off the gas pedal of the car. I threw the brick, and it crashed the back of this dude's Avalanche. It's glass, but this the guy my ex-girlfriend was so-called, I guess, using to get back at me or whatever the case is. So I tore out in the car, and I get this call now, and she's saying, "Hey, was this you over here?" I'm like, "No." And then this guy got on the phone like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you," and all of this stuff. And I remember, man, I was waiting on the guy too. Like I had put like the gun on the seat, and was like, okay, because my mind gone at this point. I'm dealing with her, and then this guy told me he's gonna kill me. Don't call my mom. My mom gonna call me. It's like, "Hey, Snoop, come home, please. Just come home." She done called me, and then this guy done threatened me on the phone. That's all I need to hear. So I done put the gun on the seat or whatever out from under the house, and waiting on this guy, come back through. And then the police ended up coming by first. And so I took the gun and, put it back up under the house or whatever. So by that time, after the police left, they came to ask me to get an incident report. I'm thinking like, man, she done sent the police to get an incident report, you know what I'm saying, on me, because they was trying to say, hey, they say you threw a rock, so they need my story, so they can't believe either side. They just had to take both stories. And so after the police left, they came over there. So me and guy got into it, beat him up real bad. I hadn't been in a fight in forever, but it was a real bad beating because they thought some people had jumped him. It was that bad. They'd call like, hey man, why y'all jumped on Buddy down there? It was like, nah, man, Snoop beat that man. It wasn't, nobody jumped on him, but it was the most angry I had felt in my life. I had really felt betrayed. So after that weekend, I say all this to say, because after that weekend going through that, because I remember after I beat him, I remember going in the house while they was all excited, I started breaking down. Like I remember crying and just feeling hurt, like crazy. And I went back to Savannah that week after that weekend, and I was sitting on the library steps at Savannah State. And I had these shoes that had like the little money on them. They was popular at the time. They looked like Air Force Ones or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had them joints.
Yeah.
with the $100 bills
yes.
on them.
And so
and they was green.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on the library steps at Savannah State. Like I said, I had the dreadlocks at the time, and I'm sitting there, and I used to have my like 12 fronts, right? This is a funny story, and I go back to that. I had 12 gold teeth, and I pulled them out and kept them in my ashtray at school in my expedition my mom had bought me before I went to West Georgia. So I used to have people in and out of the truck. And my teeth went missing one day. Somebody came to me and was like, you say your gold's missing, man? I seen Robin, one of the girls, like, man, Robin came to me the other day telling me he just got his teeth done and he had these teeth in his mouth and they was falling all out his mouth or whatever.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I said, man, why? Like, you done went and took my golds, all that saliva, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you put it in your mouth. So that's how my 12 fronts went missing.
Only one of them.
Yeah, it is crazy. I had to fight him about it, but yeah, keep that, because he still didn't really own up to it. But I was sitting at the library steps, and this girl walked by, and she paced back and forth. And I said, she looked at me, and she gave like a little interesting look. She still got these interesting looks to the day, the way she look at you. And so she came over and sat by me and went to talking, and come to find out, she said God had, she couldn't go to sleep in her car after we talked for a while. She said that when she went to go to sleep in her car, God had God told her there's somebody she need to talk to. Mm-hmm. So I'm still kind of loaded, you know, and she come over and talked to me, and she ended up leading me to Christ on the library steps. And after that, well, while she was talking to me, my ex had called me like 50 times. She was like, please don't answer the phone. Let me finish talking to you. Because she knew that I was like in it as a distraction. Mm-hmm. So she kept ministering to me, and to the point I gave my life to Christ. And after we got through talking, she gave me a Bible and told me, she dropped me off at the cafeteria area at the front of the college, or in the back. And I said, well, you know, what do I do now? You know, do I need to cut my dreads? You know, what I need to do since I gave my life to Christ? And she was like, you don't need to cut your dreads. You just need to, you know, listen to the voice of God. And so I'm like, okay. So I said, I got a bag of dust in my pocket. I said, I'm gonna do this mug one more time then. So I went in the bathroom at State and got high, you know. Said, okay, that's it. So I went home over the weekend. Man, I mean, partying, got my beans, got my weed.
Oh yeah,
right back to it. I'm to it. Wired up. And I'm in the club, and I kept hearing this voice over everything. And this is no joke. I kept hearing this voice while I'm getting out. It said, no matter what you do from now on, it's not going to be the same. I was like, boy, I'm tripping. I heard it again. No matter what you want, no matter what you do from now, it's not going to be the same. I said, man, man, let me get up out of here. So I left, hanging with this chick or whatever, went to the house, and I ended up going on like a rabbit trail that lead me where I had to leave from the girl house or whatever, because I had to keep going through my stuff because I thought I had lost something. And this what happened when you're on them beans. Sometimes whatever you think, you just stay on that track of mind. So the thing that I thought I lost was in my back pocket the whole time, And so I went home, and that led me to go home and lay down for a minute. So I couldn't really sleep, so I got back up when it was time to go, and went back to Savannah. Got to Savannah in my dorm, and I'm still kind of loaded from the weekend. I get a call, and this call was from Satin Hicks. You know her in the ministry, and this is the same person that led me to Christ.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, we having a barbecue at the house. You want to come by? I'm like, man, I ain't come by there. I'm high. Like, I ain't finna come by there, y'all church folk. I'm still on these beans. And then this feeling came over me and was like, go. And so I said, I'm going to go. So I came by there, and I never forget. When I got to the door of the house and I put my hands, it was on the house on Duran, right across from the hospital. It was a campus ministry house Commissioner Love had that they would do, Bible studies at. And a lot of kids didn't want to be involved with, ministry or not ministry, but be involved with stuff that was going on campus. Mm-hmm. They was able to be in a safer situation. Not to say they were part of anything violent, but just a situation where, how people make you feel like that you strange because it's not the fact that I just hate what you're doing. I just feel more comfortable in an environment where there's worship music playing, where I can do my work without you blasting music, whatever. So it was just a house where people could go that was spirit-filled in a sense, And I say in a sense because I didn't know it yet. But when I approached the door of the house, I remember grabbing the doorknob of the house and my high went away. I remember grabbing the hold of the doorknob at a house, man, and my high went away. And it was so strong. I looked and I was thinking like, what in the world? And I remember opening the door and you could just see these young people just having the amazing time, and they wasn't doing, they didn't have to be grabbing on each other. It wasn't nothing worldly that was going on. And you talking about me fresh out of all this stuff, like, and this was actually appealing, at the time. So I'm looking like, man, what's going on here? And I remember I was so, the feeling that I had, which was the Spirit of God, overpowered the high so much that I went out on a trampoline that they had. I remember laying there and I was like, God, if this you, I serve you to the day I die. And I went in the house and it was in there, eating and everything. Everybody eat and then they leave. But I remember laying down on the floor, and I laid down on the floor in there, and my apostle Lorinda, she was just Lorinda King at Lorinda Norwood at the time. She was a campus ministry president, and she tells a story, because I was asleep, and she came to wake me up. And God told her, don't wake me up, that he was delivering me from all the drugs I had been on for years. And so I stayed there sleeping for, they say, a couple of days. Like, I get up and I go to the bathroom. But when I got up, after that time period, I didn't have no desire for it no more. Like, I didn't have no desire to do it. I didn't even have a desire to smoke cigarettes. Like, it literally was like, it was gone. And so much so, I went 3 months or so, man, just without any of it, just being around people of God, like, and I was still dealing with my ex-girlfriend. So I was still dealing with her. So I remember I went home, as everybody go home for Christmas break. So I went home for Christmas break. And I remember before I went home for Christmas break, I remember God revealing himself through visions and stuff, and through individuals. And I figured out then that, because I thought my ex-girlfriend was somebody I was supposed to marry. And God ended up, instructing through somebody as well, was like, that ain't, your wife, and I'm going to show you why. that it's not. And I'm thinking like, I got to let this girl go, but I don't even know how. And then I heard God was like, I'm going to show you how, in a sense. And so when I went home, that's when she went, the story where I jumped to where she, we was talking about it earlier, where she laid the stuff on the table or whatever. So she knew I had given my life to Christ. But she kept trying to encourage me to do
cocaine.
Yeah, to do wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like the first sign. And then, so I gave in. She was like, I gave into it like the next day. I was cool the first day. The second day, my brother was there. My brother was like, my baby brother was like, man, Snoop, you ain't got to do none of, you ain't even got to go this, and the third. Man, I know you trying to change or whatever. He was like, you ain't. My ex was like, nah, come on. Let's go party, whatever, you cutting your dreads off. This gonna be your last time. This is it or whatever. So come on, have fun. So I remember going and trying to pop me an X pill after I had been gave my life to Christ, and man, my body completely. It was the most scariest thing ever. I was at the club literally hiding behind people because it felt like I had lost something. Like I was naked.
And this is after you heard the voice said, no matter what you do,
nothing was going to be the same. Yeah. So I was like, it was like I felt naked or whatever. And I'm hiding behind people, trying to get away and everything. And it was just like, man, I said, Lord, if you get me up out of here, I promise you I ain't going to do it again.
I know that's right. Did you had a question?
Yes, I did. I still do. It was about your mom. So when you were younger and your mom used to tell you about these dreams.
Why you always stealing my questions? Golly. Go ahead. You can have it this time.
And I started not to ask. But I was like, what's your read what you want?
Just one of my questions.
What yours say?
All right, so because first you started off, you said that you were in revival and your homeboy mother jumped up and then she sat down. And then right after that, somebody let her know that her son had been shot.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord, it was like the Lord revealed that to her in a sense to where, well, not even in a sense, but the Lord revealed that to her in some type of way that made her react. So, and you saw that because you what she jump up for? And then somebody runs in the church and yo, your son just got shot. So when your mom is telling you that she having these dreams about you going in safes and doing drugs and all this other stuff, did any part of your mind ever be like, bro, I remember when old lady jumped up in revival just before her son was shot and put the two and two together man, God talking to our parents.
So hold on, before you answer that, that's the second part.
That's where it get good.
Of the question.
That's a good one though. That
is a good one. But my part would be part one of it. So when she told you that, did you just, man, mom crazy, she don't know what she talking about, or did you be like, oh shoot, God real? Did it make you say, okay, I got to get myself together? Or were you so confident behind your mother's prayers that you didn't face no fear anyway?
I guess that's part of a two-part then, because part of it was oh shoot, my mama know that, because she had a dream right after I started using cocaine. She had a dream about.
And that didn't scare you?
It did spook me. Because
when I grew up in church, and the prophet used to tell me, I stayed clear away from him. I don't even want to talk to you, sir. I don't want to talk to you. And this was, our former pastor, but I didn't want to talk to him because I didn't want to hear it. I was like, listen, while I'm out here, if I'm going to hell, I might as well go to hell with gasoline draws on. Okay? I'm going flaming. Yeah. I'm not going to play with it. I'm going to keep giving my tithes. I never stopped giving tithes. However, I stayed clear away from them people that could see me. So, when you was like, man, and then you say you answer, the way you said you answered was a straight face, I don't know what you talking about. I don't know what that mean. That was your reaction?
The way I answered her at that time was probably man, that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? But I don't, and that's crazy. Lying. We you gonna lie. I lied. We were gonna straight up, lie. Yeah, because I wasn't finna expose that to her at that point. It's man, look, I'm like, you're gonna have to find it if that's the case. Like, cause it's things I always was in, contrary to popular belief, even the people that know me, I always was in a type of fear when I was doing drugs, when I was out there in the street. I always was in, no matter when people look and they might think, oh man, he good. I always in fear. And I think some of the fear kept me out of losing my life with certain situations because when my brothers, they would go head first, my baby, they be on go. Like they like, if you say something, you do something or whatever, my oldest brother, he ain't thinking.
Yeah.
He going. That's why
Impulsive.
people used to be like, he don't never need no gun. That's why they used to always say he don't never need no weapon because he just gonna be on go and think about it later. My baby brother, he gonna be on go, think about it later. Me, they used to tell somebody said this, it came in my memory the other day because somebody when I was younger named me Think About It. Because when we used to try to freestyle, they be like, man, look at Think About It. Because I wasn't finna freestyle that. I'm gonna think. I used to think stuff through or whatever.
Boy, can't get right.
Can't
get right.
Look and think about it. So, and even I thought it was funny because to this day, when I'm trying to explain something to somebody, I say, think about it. So I was in fear a lot of times when the lifestyle I was in because I always would have visions of stuff. I've had visions of like an overdose. So I've had visions of hell. You know what I'm saying? I had visions of just different, stuff. So it was, even when that's what made it worse when I was doing drugs though. When I start taking from people or when I start like robbing and different stuff like that, when I would get high, I start to see that stuff. And I always would, when I was high on the coke, I would always think somebody's coming after me because I had did stuff, so much, different stuff to people. So I noticed that with a lot of people that do drugs, like a lot of people that I was around, because it wasn't even, it's the paranoia. When I used to hang with a lot of Caucasians, they paranoia level wasn't like hanging around black folk. And they two different people that use drugs. The Caucasian that I used to be around, like my white brothers and sisters, they would get high, play the guitar type around the pool. The brothers, they would get high, because I was hiding my habit, I would stay clear of a lot of black folks. They didn't know that they only could speculate. They knew that I was selling, but I wasn't finna let them know that I was using. So the white, they protected that part of it. If you hang around them, because they weren't into the gossip of exposing black folk. A lot of us, we're into the gossip of exposing our own. We find out something's wrong with them. No, they're hide that their nephew a crackhead or their son is an addict. They'll hide it. We expose it from the jump and just make them look bad and send them on a trail of whatever. They'll try to fix the problem a lot of times. That where I grew up, I'm not saying for everybody, but where I was growing up at, they kind of protected a lot of stuff or whatever. So I kind of stayed clear of a lot of us or whatever. They didn't find out till later years until I was like going, out of it, us outside to speculate. My brother came to me one time that he almost ended up causing me to confess to him, my oldest brother, because he was speculating and he came to me with this heartfelt story. He was like, man, come on, man, because if it is, I can get you help. If you don't start trying to do that, I almost told the Negro.
I'm actually glad you said that because I was going to ask you because like we started off the testimony, you said that a lot of this stuff was so influenced by the music that you heard.
Yeah.
But I know from the music that we hear, especially in the black community, it's like, yeah, we smoke, but cocaine is like, hey, that's like the forbidden thing. Like that's the thing that we not gonna touch. But you was more so around white folk, Caucasians.
Yeah.
You was around Caucasians. So because I was like, what? Because in our culture, we smoke weed. So I was wondering, like, what influenced you to start to do the cocaine? Because that's more so shunned in our culture. But if you're around our other brothers, that's something that they're more accustomed to.
I'm gonna tell you something that's funny, right? Think about we're accustomed to at that time shunning cocaine, but we smoked weed and we did our things, right? But then crack is more prevalent in the black community.
Mhm.
Crack is really a drug of poverty. You know what I'm saying? It's a poor thing. See, white or Caucasian didn't shine it 100% like that because that's a rich man's drug.
Mhm.
That's more something that people dabble in that's supposed to have money, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
to kind of afford,
Right.
you know, in there. And it wasn't kind of put into the music like that, but that doesn't mean just because it was shunned that it wasn't so many undercover people that was doing it. But they did get exposed. That's why I'm saying how the black community, they point the finger at it and it's like, man, you a dope head, you a coke head or whatever. But look at the reverse of it now in a sense. And even though cocaine is shunned, or it may not be a shunned with music, but they hype marijuana up, right?
Mhm.
I broke this down to some kids in school. If you had the money, how much money would you spend on marijuana a day?
A lot. A quarter. Well, back in my day, a quarter was $40.
Okay, but if you listen to them with the blunts that they smoke, at the average, a person may spend about $1.20.
Mhm.
All right, let's flip it.
Yeah.
Over on cocaine side, that might get a person an 8-ball.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's a mental battle. Even though one has so-called worse effects quicker,
Mhm.
one is shunned, but you're spending the same amount of money and you're still a dope head on the other side, you know? So the community did shun it, or music may have not talked about it, but you know how if you're doing something, people can always say subliminal messages and stuff,
Mhm.
and you don't understand the subliminal message unless you are actually
Unless you were
doing it.
involved in that. Yes.
So when I started popping X pills, I knew who was dabbling by the music in ecstasy because it triggered something in you. So even when you're doing cocaine, even though you didn't talk about it, that don't mean that they wasn't using it. You know what I'm saying? There's the subliminal messages and everything
Mhm.
to make you, just like you saw with the G. Craig Lewis, when you play stuff backwards and reverse or whatever, it has certain messages in there. So just because you don't hear this artist pop out and say coke or powder, whatever the case, you know how many people that's like a person who you bake. How many cooks don't taste their food? You know what I'm saying? How many bakers don't eat their sweets?
Mhm.
So that means that even though they tell you not to do something,
Mhm.
that all these people that was messing with, even if you go and look at some of the movies, all the people that was moving that kind of weight.
They was doing it. Yeah.
So that's what
Biggie said, don't get high on your
on
own supply.
But he was a rapper.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't necessarily, now the people that's artists, they're actually really in the street. Some of them are really out there still active or whatever doing it. But to go back to your question, it's Sean, but that's why, you know, like when I started, the person I got in hanging with and got into it with, it was embraced over there.
Mhm.
It was like, your secret's safe here. So if I'm doing it with them, I don't have to worry about hearing over here that, oh yeah, you know, Roland be getting high.
Mhm.
It didn't come out because I was selling to dudes that ran car lot. You know what I'm saying? That sold car. You think he wanted his secret toll that he was using? You know what I'm saying? And they was actually people who, I saw more people that was using cocaine, which they shunned over in a community. I saw them more responsible with how they dealt with their families than people over here
who
that smoke weed.
Yes.
These people still
Yes.
they still got high and they
Yeah.
still raised their kids. They still made, I'm telling you, these are people their kids go to private schools and different things like that. They are functioning addicts.
Mhm.
So don't be fooled, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Why
then you
that
look
weed
over here,
just got you
nigga.
stuck.
He telling
Yeah.
you don't, but you walking around aimless. You're smoking weed with no purpose, nothing, no drive.
That's good.
I'm dead serious, no
That's
drive,
good.
no nothing, but you
That's good.
shunning it. But then these people showing, I was learning from them that, hey, you can get high and you can still do your schoolwork. You can still stay on top of your stuff. But over here, when I learned you hanging over here, it was like, you get high, you need to quit school, hang in the streets, run the streets. You smoking weed, skip class, let's run the streets or whatever. It was always evident. So it was like, over here, I learned how
Made
to,
more sense.
I was masking it. I was able to mask it. It was like, okay, when I go around him, just make sure my eyes low, like I have been smoking trees that they ain't wide open. It was like, you know, what's up? You know, I've been smoking or whatever the case, just so it wouldn't give off. So I learned too to mask so nobody would be able to tell. I'm not sniffing my nose in front of nobody. I ain't doing no extra stuff because cats used to be around. My other folks that was doing,
Mhm.
they trying to catch drink. You know, it's like, bruh, like
the pinky nail.
and somebody, one of the guys he was investigating without knowing it. He went in my car one night, and this how he had a clue that I might have was doing something, because he went and was messing with my CD, because he used coke all the time, and he went through my CDs and he was looking at the cases to see, because if you look on the back of the cases, you'll see residue, or you might see where it's got like cut marks or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Telltale that's some straight dope fiend stuff right there. Yeah, oh yeah, he be on it. Look at that little scratch right there. I can tell he put a razor on the back of this thing. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
and then once again, like you said, because I like the fact that you said that the music influenced this stuff, because you're just a country boy. So how is this stuff easily accessible in the country? Because you listening to the music, you're like, oh, they talking about stuff in the city life. We don't really deal with that here. So like, but the drugs, like, is the drugs easily accessible in the country just like it is in the city?
Man, yeah, that's why I think we were really excited about going over to the next city over, because where I live at, in a small town, like right next to us, is like, we got really excited about being in like Vidalia and Lyons, Georgia, because being from the country, you go over there, it was crazy because they're country too. And it's a smaller town. But when you go over there, they actually had people that was out at 3 a.m. walking the streets. It looked, little small place, it looked like it had big city potential in a sense, like, but then you go to find out that a lot of those cats that were living over there was guys that moved from Miami, you know, that started running dope up through there. It was easy for them, because think about it. If you down in Miami, when you sell dope in a bigger place, or you in bigger cities, you got to worry about turf wars.
Correct.
So when you selling and trapping,
country,
yeah, there you free. Somebody might pull a gun on you every now and then. Somebody may get shot every now and then, but it's not the probability of it is way less. You know what I'm saying? And so we went over to the next city over, which is like 30 minutes away, and everything was happening over there. So we had access to plenty of stuff where we was at, but then we might go over there, you know, I might run into, you know, Connect or whatever, and bring it back there, bring it back home or whatever, and, you know, do our thing. Or you might have people there, you don't find out until you start getting in that lifestyle that there's so many other people involved in this small little city, because in small little town, because in the country, it wasn't a whole lot to do. So most people, you mess around and get high, you think like, now I ain't got to go nowhere, because if I'm getting high, this is my fantasy world. I don't have to be nowhere else. So it was easier, accessible, and not somebody. I come to Savannah, we kind of feared coming to Savannah, even though who's running out there, because growing up, all our news was filtered through the low country, the coastal empire. So an hour and a half away from Savannah, our local news station outside a little small one, there was really like Chatham County, like news. So it was always killings and everywhere. Every time they showed something, somebody was getting shot, stabbed, or something like that coming up. So we didn't really want to, you know, come over there. So you would be scared to go set up a deal there, because we done heard of people from the country that came over here that went missing, you know, or something like that. So there it was just you easier. So the music, you filtrating the music, and in your mind, you really trapping, because ain't nobody even coming at you. You ain't got to worry about too many people robbing you. Now, somebody might short you because you give them something and they don't pay you back, but you ain't had to worry about the robbing if you was the kind of people that was into that, or you was the one doing it. Like, so,
like you said, it's easy to be the bully when there ain't too many bullies out there. It's easy to be the thug when ain't nobody else really thugging. Like, so yeah.
And if you was gonna grow weed, what would you grow it at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you was gonna do all that, you know, a lot of stuff, you look up history and you'll find the stuff that has been brought through, you know what I'm saying, smaller places and stuff like that.
What do you think influenced your overconsumption of the drugs? Because it's one thing to just like, all right, smoke a little weed. But you saying like, man, you was popping like 4 X pills a night. So like, what do you think was influencing the overconsumption of it instead of just, oh, this is just something I kind of do?
Man, Overconsumption of it, I could probably say like personality in a sense. And then just being around, like when you got more, you do more. You know what I'm saying? I think the appetite grows the more that you have of something.
Mm-hmm.
If you only have $10, then you're gonna be spending $10. That's why they say like even with crack was like a poor man's drug because it was like what people could afford. Dying back here, But when I had more of the drug,
That's good.
it was more, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, well, you want to stay in that place. And when I got to go deeper, when I got saved, when I got gave my life to Christ, I figured out that my drug habit was connected to my unforgiveness towards my father. So the drug addiction was helping replace a hole that I had in unforgiveness toward my father, which is so interesting
that's what I was hinting towards. Cause
I never would have tapped on that.
Yeah.
It had to get brought out spiritually because it was how it first started. It first generated because I was going through what I was trying. I didn't want to hold my wife's hand before we got married. I think that's what triggered the start of it. I didn't want to, and it was like something as simple as like, well, I don't want to, because she was trying to hold my hand going somewhere. This before we got married, I think, right? And it triggered the whole process. I think when I got married, it started triggering it. And I went to the movies one night and we was watching The Blind Side.
Mm-hmm.
After I left the movies, I'm riding and this thought came over me and it was like, I wonder if my dad proud of me. And I'm like, where did that come? My daddy always, why did I think about that during this movie? Like, I wonder if my dad proud or wasn't my father proud of me? And so it was some other things that led up through there, but we was on like a couples kind of retreat and it ended up getting tapped on. And I end up, I didn't know. I'm crying, we trying to go through deliverance. You trying to dig at it, something wrong. People calling it out like, hey, is something there? Everything like, nah, I just simply don't want to do this. I did not do this or whatever. And it got called out through scripture in Isaiah. And I think Pastor Nestor and Apostle Chris was there and they was reading out, Pastor Nestor was reading out the scripture in Isaiah. And when he read it, it started breaking me down. And I started hearing these cries from when I was 7 years old, when I was 10, when I was 12. I heard them all the way up. These were cries that was coming out of me from a youth. All the way, they changed sound all the way up to a grown man. I heard cries that was coming out while I was crying out. And I said, man, what is this? And after that, because I'm like, my dad went to every football, listen to me. Never, it would be something I never would have said was true. And my dad went to every football game. I mean, he was there for everything. Literally. When I was in college, he following us, the bus to the football game. He going everywhere with us. I mean, he literally was present from the day I was born. Sacrificed less money and he had an over-the-road job that would make a lot of money. Sacrificed less money. I always wonder why he stopped doing it so quick. But he realized it was going to take him away from raising us. And so he took less money to be able to be home every day so he could raise us. And so I never would have tapped on that. You would have never been able to tell me in a million years that that I had unforgiveness towards my father. But when he started drudging it up over time, I remember going to hug my dad and it was like, it was a hug, but I always would be grabbing for something more, pulling for something more, pulling, and didn't realize it. And so after this happened, after God was delivering me from delivering it and bringing it up and showing me there was unforgiveness, what he started showing me was my father didn't affirm me. And this is why I had came up with this. It was a word one time, affirmation to greatness. But he started showing me that I was missing that even though he was there, he didn't speak until he didn't speak certain. My dad, he was very few words. So I didn't know if he was proud of me because he didn't say it. He just didn't, he was there and he didn't know to say it. You know what I'm saying? He was there and he did everything he knew to do. And so years later when, when I went through a stint, it got revealed when I went through a stint of dealing with like hydrocodone, like hydrocodone or whatever, or Percocet, whatever it was in there, Percocet, hydrocodone, when I got injured. It got revealed there where it was like, hey, there's a connection to something here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when we realized that the addiction or whatever and the overconsumption of like the cocaine and different stuff like that, it was masking the unforgiveness. And so after I ended up having a talk with my dad. Mm-hmm. So we met and we talked. He came to Savannah and we sat down and I went to asking him questions. And it cleared up everything. I mean, it was crystal clear after that because he ended up telling me, he never even knew who his father was. And everything he did, nobody was really teaching, him that he was doing that. He figured, I'm going to be here for them. He didn't know that caused an effect, to not say certain stuff or whatever, or I need to be here, or be this way. I need to say, son, I'm proud of you, proud of the man you becoming. He just smiled and he there. And so when we talked and he told me that, it kind of softened, it hit me in a certain area because it was like, he never even, the people that did come into his life that was like some male figure, something happened to him. So he was going by what he, you know what I'm saying? And after that, man, it brought so much clarity like in our relationship, like to the point he's going to randomly call. He do it with the kids. He do it with my wife. He do it with like other kids that I'm involved in their life. He going to call them if he know them. And he going to be, hey, after he talk, he going to say, I love you. Or he just going to randomly call, and talk to you, whatever the case is. Like it changed. Everything was a little bit different because what I was pulling from him that wasn't there, it was something that I needed to pull from God. Mm-hmm. And so that was really the ultimate thing what I needed to pull from him. He wasn't going to be able to give it to me in that area because he didn't know, it was something that I would have to really learn to let God be a, father in that area,
Mm-hmm. When you said that you became like a football star during school, correct? So was it but you were still running the streets.
Yeah, my senior year is when I really got into everything that really clouded my judgment when it came to football because I was already becoming that, before I got into the drugs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I still was going and stuff like it was my second semester in high school where I really got into everything heavy. We smoked a little bit prior, but I wouldn't get into the cocaine and stuff till like my second semester of high school when it was time to make decisions.
Yeah. So like the thought of like being, because like the thought of like being a football star didn't kind of deter you. You didn't feel like, because all right, I'm a football star, but I'm still selling dope. Like it wasn't like no, like you weren't torn in between the two worlds. Like I could really do something with this football thing, but I got the streets calling me.
I'm gonna tell you why it didn't really tear me 100% because like I was saying, you got people that had to do it and you got people that it was fun. Mm-hmm. See, for me, it's fun. That's why you see these suburban kids get a flack for trying to be something they're not. It's fun I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Malibu's Most Wanted. Yeah. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Those suburban, that's true.
Yeah.
They own the music, they own the hip hop because they don't have to wake up and walk into violence.
Yeah.
They don't have to wake up and they parents in chaos and, somebody shooting dope in the house and the money I make it really got to take care of me with clothes and shoes and all that stuff like that. So with me, it wasn't necessarily a torn piece because I could balance both because if I needed to step away, I could step away. It wasn't my bills and everything at that time in high school and stuff. Didn't have to pay anything. I wasn't, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like it's a difference when you hustle because you got to. Mm-hmm. And it's a difference when you hustling because you fascinated with the money, you fascinated with the lifestyle. So your hustling looks different. If it's hot outside and the police is on doing their thing, I can back up. If you don't do that, you can't buy Pampers. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take risk.
Yes.
I didn't have to take a risk. I could deal with the few people I dealt with, go home.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? After football practice or whatever, or I could do that, hang out, go home. I don't have to be out, you know what I'm saying, in that. So it's like in the streets, but it's like not really out there just 24/7 out there like that.
You ain't doing it because you got to survive.
Not until I got older.
Yeah.
You know?
But you said you playing football played a role in the traffic stop. Because we didn't even finish that story. You said about the traffic stop when the police officer noticed that, hey, you look like that football guy.
Yeah.
And then you said that they started blaming each other, or started blaming the girl with the gun. And then the police officer was like, "Don't worry, I got you."
Yeah.
But we didn't finish the story, like, on how you got out of that situation.
Well, basically, after he said, "I got you," and he came up and he was he said, "You know what?" He tapped the other cop and he said, "Hey, look, this how we gonna handle this." And he said, "Hey, no, this how we gonna. It ain't gonna go on the driver. If don't nobody admit to this gun, everybody going to jail." And so, the other girls, they went to telling on the person that brought the gun. But the person whose gun it belonged to, they didn't even really go bring the gun. The other individual, how did that happen? The person that the gun belonged to was cousins with the people that told on her. So her cousins, they like, we ain't going to jail. They told and say, you better claim that. You know that's yours. And so I'm like, thank God I ain't have to tell, because I'm in an environment too. These ain't my people. Like, word get back to they people that I done said it's going to be all bad, you know what I'm saying, for me. So they end up saying they took her to jail. Then they took my ex-girlfriend to jail. We had just met each other, been together for a few weeks. And I ain't even noticed. We going through the roadblock in the officer spots. And he said, "Hey, we been looking for you." And pulls her out of the car. He's like,
"Oh, she was wanted."
She was wanted.
Oh, look, we got 2 for 1. What you doing in there?
Well, he was smiling like, I'm talking like Porky the Pig, man. When he came with that, he was like, "Is that you?"
Oh,
he
wow.
said, "We've been looking for you. Come on out of here."
Hey, that means you doing some big stuff. When the police like, "Oh, Sheila, girl, come here. I got some braces for you." That's wild.
So she get locked up. My cousin get locked up. And we still go to the club. We still go down to the club. You know,
you gonna party even harder now.
I'm rolling hard because I got all them beans that I done dissolved. They done dissolved in my mouth or whatever. And we still roll down there just to go.
Yeah.
But the night was off. It was just crazy off or whatever. And we end up because my brother ended up coming through the same roadblocks, giving somebody advice to do, "Hey man, throw that out. We finna come through roadblock." Dude was like, "No, I'ma hold on to my bomb." Go through the roadblock. He ended up getting locked up too.
Stupid.
Man, they had that mud lit up. It was crazy where they had the roadblock. It looked illegal. Somebody told me it was illegal the way they had it.
Really?
Man, it was lit up like Christmas when we got down that road. But yeah, the dude recognized me, and then this was the funniest part. That night, after I done got off, he's like, "Who pants are these?" And I said, He said, "Man, they in the driver's seat, and they got your license in them." I said, "Man, them ain't mine." He's like, "Man, come on, man, you ain't gotta lie. You finna go," because he pulled a bag that had crack in it. Like the residue was in it. And he was like, "Man, these your pants?" I'm like, I ain't finna admit to, but he was like, "Man, they got your ID in it." He was like, "Man, y'all go ahead." So that was a moment. Like I said, I experienced something or whatever, and boom, you know what I'm saying? Let us go. We came through the went to the club still, man. And like I said, the night was off, man. It was crazy, but it was a blessing that. Because I would always pull even when I wasn't going to school, I would pull my college ID a lot of times. Be like, "Oh, excuse me, You know what I'm saying? So they see my college ID or whatever too, and they, pull us over or whatever. But yeah, my boy, he ended up getting beat bad about that situation because they felt like he should have took the rap for the girl because he was part of that situation, and she went in there. He told her to bring it, and she went in the house and got it and brought it. When I told him we don't need, you don't need it. My brother and them, everything's taken care of before we get there. And so he ended up getting beat bad because they felt like he should have took the rap instead of her going to jail or whatever. So
yeah, hey, it's the life, the life you live. And so once fast forward to starting to the salvation story, you said that when you were sitting on the steps with the girl, she just thought she ended up leading you to Christ.
Yeah.
What was so intriguing about the situation that you decided to give your life to Christ at that point in time? Because you're a drug dealer, drug doer.
He said
consumer. Yeah,
drug
there you
consumer,
go. Drug consumer.
Make it a little bit.
Yeah,
it sound better than
right. Right. So, well, I mean, you ain't really tripping on God. You know what I'm saying? So, what was it at that point in time that was like, hey, all right, this sound like this is what I need to do?
Man, I'm glad you asked that because it just jogged my memory back.
Yes.
So
praise God.
I had this moment where I was when I was in the street and I was laying in the bed with my ex, and I used to when I would get high, I would get deep, when I was on the beans and stuff, like I would get very like inspirational, And so we laying there and one day and I'm thinking like, hey, I asked a question, like 2 questions. One of them I was like, I feel like I want to go back to school. Would you wait for me? Because I know she's still a fast life. Mm-hmm. It's like, would you wait for me? I was like, I'll build you a house. You know what I'm saying? If I can go back to school, get educated, I'll build you a house or whatever. And she was like, in her mind, it was like, no vision for the future type deal. It was like, nah, I can't really see that. Like, if you go do that, it's like, because she even discouraged me. She talked so bad about me when she found out that I had got back on the football field. Oh, let me finish this. I'm jumping.
Gotcha.
So I was laying in the bed and I said I want to go back to. I think I want to go back to school or whatever or something, And I was telling her about I could build your house, this, and the third. And I said, will she wait for me? And she was like, kind of like no, in a sense. And I also said, I was like, man, you see how good we be feeling when we be high? Like, yeah. I'm like, if God created us and he created all this stuff, and this stuff here is like a figment, like his presence or whatever, it's gotta be more, it's gotta be stronger than what we feeling on a high.
You saying this high?
This high. I'm saying, because I'm like, because I used to go deep. I used to think that deep when I was a kid. I used to think, and it would hurt my head. Because I would always think, who created, like, what was like, I would always try to vision what was before God, like, what was God, how was his existence, like, what were we before, like, how did he come up with the thought of having people, like, why we wasn't something else, you know what I'm saying, how did we come up to be in this, and I have to stop thinking because it'll start spooking me out when I go that far, and I would think that deep, so I would thinking deep at that moment, and I was like, man, it gotta be more than this, And when I was home, I was, like I said, I was in the bathroom one day and I had got high, and I was so disturbed during my high at my mama's house. I said, God, if you bring me truth, whatever it is, if it's Buddha, if it's Muslim, if it's, whatever it is, if you bring me truth. I grew up in church all my life. So I don't want to be of the mindset because what's my truth if this person that grew up in witchcraft, that's their truth. I grew up as a believer. That's my truth. So what is what? Like, whatever you bring to me, this is why I'm at. I'm like, whatever you bring to me, I'm going to believe. I'm going to believe that's going to be the truth if you bring it back to me. I grew up as a Christian, so I'm free-minded to go anywhere if you bring it to me. And was the connection there where she later on, she ran into me on the library steps. So that's what started connecting with
Got you.
what was going
all right,
on.
This is the Lord answering my prayer.
Answering what was going on. Because I was high and I was like, man, every time I would get high, I would almost get depressed. I was like, I don't even want, if I was by myself when I was doing coke or something, I was like, I don't even really want to do this. Like, I'm chasing it, but I'm really scratching the itch, but I don't even feel like doing this, you know?
Man, you was about to say, was she clowned you about the football field or something again?
Yeah, because when I went back to school, I had to start from the bottom. Like, I was going back, I was really, really overweight at one point because I was eating crazy when I was off drugs for a little bit. And a coach had approached me in the cafeteria and was like, hey, man, you want to come out for the football team? And he was a man of God. And I was like, oh, man, I think, I just got saved. So I'm like, man, I ain't got the lungs for it. I ain't got nothing, but I've been doing drugs bad. I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to die out here.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when I got out there and was running faster than some of the people that was out there like making sprints or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm like, so God, he restored some stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so my ex-girlfriend found out I had got on, she's like, why you out there? You know you been on drugs and stuff like that, and you gonna go out there and try to play football? Like really, I mean, the enemy was just speaking hard, you know what I'm saying, through it. But God just kept reaffirming himself. Like, he kept showing like signs, like quick. I was allowed to go back on that, then earn a scholarship, and then earn a really big scholarship that pocketed, you know what I'm saying, me cash in my pocket or what, money in my pocket, without doing any kind of, extra funding from the school.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of restored, you know what I'm saying, some stuff or whatever.
Yeah, you said you got into Savannah State with a 0.7 GPA?
0.7 GPA, and I think that's just a testimony in itself to a lot of people that give up in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a 0.7 GPA. You have to let that resonate. You have to make B's, A's, B, you know what I'm saying, just to come out of that hole. Not a 3.0, not a 2.0.
Yes, 0.7.
A 0.7.
But I think it's crazy because 7 is the numbers, God's number of completion. And then this leads to you getting saved.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm about to rock to that 0.7. Like, yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So then you meet the campus ministry. You end up falling asleep on the floor. The Holy Spirit tells you, hey, leave him alone. I'm delivering him. You get up. You don't want to get high no more. So what's your process to like really just, all right, I'm coming out. I'm about to live this thing. I'm living this thing out.
One thing was, I think first it was like Dr. Lorinda, Apostle Dr. Lorinda King, now, but at that time it was Lorinda, Norwood. She would always kind of offer different, angles to stuff, advice, was even got me into, because I used to just love listening to certain beats and different stuff like that. I remember she would put me on certain fasts to cleanse me from, music and stuff like that or whatever that I had been, indulged in, had me go on, 30-day worship music, to kind of change my mindset to get me into, listening to, worship music and to just change my whole outlook on different stuff like that. And it was really the accountability of the people that I didn't even really want accountability from like that. Like, even I didn't want to go to church and stuff like that. They was, beating down my door, to wake me up to make sure I got to, church and different stuff like that. But after it was so much love that was expressed through the ministry that it kind of kept you on a straight path in a sense, like, because I had never experienced that outside of my family, that, so much genuine love from individuals that want to see you do good without being malicious about it, that it didn't have like no ill intent to it, just wanting to see you grow in who you are and who you was called to be, and actually seeing who you called to be and looking past what was being seen right then and seeing who you called to be in the future and pushing that. And I think that's something that Dr. King has always been a great individual at doing, is actually looking past and willing to get into what she sees in the current position that you're in and fighting past. And that's the craziest thing because campus ministry and ministry in general was going through a lot of like persecution and stuff like that. So it's odd to see people hating the way they did and you're experiencing one-on-one with somebody willing to get into it with you about what you're not showing that you should display of where you're supposed to be and called, you know what I'm saying, to be, you know, later on. So to see people out and make you think about the body of Christ being so divided to the point that when we see unity, we call it a cult. That's just how divided the body of Christ is in general, is because when we see division, it's so divided in the sectors that when we see somebody attempting or even moving in unison, it's a cult. Why are those people so like-minded?
That's good.
Why they speak this? But the word tells you that, to be like-minded. Yes. Like, why are they speaking the same?
Yes.
Why they look alike? Why is a lot of their lingo the same? Why they walk this way? Why they don't agree about, a lot of them don't agree about the same stuff, that they disagree, that there's a wall there, that they don't want to do this over here. Why is that looked at, you know, like that even in the body of Christ? I know I just jumped from a subject, but
you talking good.
But why does that look like that for us? Like, why does it, when people are trying to, when the body is supposed to be unified and everybody preaches about being unified, but when it's like, when people working towards a common goal, are they moving the same instead of being like, okay, they moving the same, that let them have their lane. Oh, that ain't God.
Yeah, because y'all they pricking something in you that's unrighteous. There's an unrighteous seed in you, and I'm getting pricked by it. So instead of me getting right, I rather demonize it. And just to brag on y'all ministry, that was one, the Bible says, with love and kindness have I drawn thee.
Yep.
So the brag on y'all ministry, that is the one thing that drew me to y'all. I was like, these folk really love each other. They love God, of course, but they really love each other. And the way that y'all love each other still love each other. It's such an awesome dynamic to see, because like you said, man, just the scriptures say this, but people will also use scripture to justify the way they flesh want to feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, yes, love covers a multitude of sin, you know what I'm saying? But open rebuke is better than secret love, you know what I'm saying? So instead of me loving, I'm gonna use this scripture of rebuke to justify the way I feel. But man, y'all ministry has always been and still is such an awesome example of the love of Christ. And I can imagine how people would see that, and instead of just getting with it, they want to call it a cult. They want to call it something ungodly, and it's just like, nah, y'all jokers just need to get saved. If you can just repent. And don't get mad.
Think
just
about
repent.
it. When it's like people say, be 100%. That's why I always even respect the students that I've taught. Mm-hmm. My most respected students that I've taught are the ones who are really about a certain lifestyle. They might be street as I don't know what.
Yeah.
But they'll come to me as a teacher and they'll say, you know what, Mr. Jackson, I know you got a job to do, but I'm going to walk out the class. And they pretty much accept their consequences. Mm-hmm. But it's the aggravating ones that always try to justify that I'm wrong for exercising a certain consequence because they leave the classroom. I respect the real. You know what I'm saying? The people that are more so be like, hey, and I say that because I relate it spiritually.
Yeah.
Like even my brother, when he was like, you know, it just ain't finna get right now. I respect that. You know what I'm saying? He just telling me about it. Versus I'm saying something and then you say, oh, you judging. Are you judging me or whatever the case is? I'd rather respect somebody even when it comes to lifestyles of you saying that I understand that this is wrong, but I choose to do this. We would get so far as a community, as a world, if we just acknowledge to say that the lifestyle that I'm choosing here, I know it's wrong, but it just identifies more with my flesh, and I'm comfortable with that. Like even people that separate or leave ministries and stuff like that, if they just be real and say, yeah, I was part of truth, it just was a little touchy for me. And I just wanted to deal with something that was a little bit soft.
Mhm.
But instead of them doing that, they come off in a way of, no, these people, they were projecting themselves like this and this and this was going on and that. And that's the thing, man. That ain't just with like ministry. That's with everything. If we would be more mature in a sense about that, I like this.
Yeah.
Just be okay that you like what you like,
Yeah.
and then go with it from there versus trying to convince me that what you like is supposed to be
supposed
what
to be
I,
okay.
you know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be okay. You know what I'm saying?
I'd rather you be hot or cold, because if you be lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out my mouth. That's it. It's a principle. What you got, honey?
I was just gonna say when you were talking about the ministry, like Ray said, like I just joined the family 7 years ago. You know, when I married this man over here, that's how I got into the family. And from day one, it's been nothing but love.
Mhm.
Like day one, it's been nothing but love. But just even you can tell that Dr. Linda and Pastor Chris is like, first of all, they point you to God and not to them. First of all. But they have already equipped you guys with what the world is going to say. Because at the end of the day, for you to know that this is what the world, meaning those who don't want to get right, those who don't want to line up, it's going to be cult. It's going to be a cultish. But when you look at the characteristics of a cult and look at what you guys are doing, it doesn't line up. As far as love, you know, and even I've seen people who like left the ministry. You guys don't demonize them, or y'all don't like make them feel bad for not being a part. It's just a matter of fact, if they do decide to come back, y'all welcome them back with open arms.
That part.
Like it's never been like she going to hell because she left. It's been, you know, sis got a lot going on right now, and I am speaking from like situations that I've literally heard one of our sisters like she said, sis got a lot going on right now, but you know we gonna pray for her, and that was it. And it's like, and if she do choose to come back, we gonna love her. We still gonna love her. So a lot of things that how you guys are an example is amazing. It's amazing.
Lord.
That's good. That's the word to other ministries. Like when people leave, don't demonize them folk, because if they come to their senses, I don't, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna go back to the place where they don't demonize you, you know what I'm saying? Like you wanna keep that door open. You know what I'm saying? So you can restore them in the spirit of meekness, like the scripture say, but you don't demonize them and hey, come on, bro. We need to grow up.
But that's like what I'm talking about when it comes to like being like mature about stuff, because as you grow, you should be identified with your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to identify, because a lot of times people have the example, they think that the church is supposed to be perfect.
Right.
And they point the finger at the church for being the root of all their issues, for whatever they get in. Because you get in an argument with people at the club and you go right back to the club.
Mm-hmm.
You go right back to work.
You go right back to work. You get in a disagreement with the people at McDonald's about the sandwich and you go back and buy
You
another
go back.
one.
Mm-hmm.
They get how many times have people got your sandwich wrong or whatever the case?
Bruh.
You go back to it, or you like, hey, look, y'all need to remake that. You know what I'm saying? You need to fix that. But it's just, if we would, because I know it, because I can mentally, if I'm going through something, sometimes I can feel it. I can see how people can project certain stuff or whatever. Like, just not being able to identify your feelings to say, I could say, like I'm saying, you doing me wrong, but instead of me waiting to kind of let God tell me about if Ray is really doing me wrong, I just automatically jump on a tangent and go with everybody. Man, Ray did me wrong, this, and the third. And then you go to find out that Ray didn't really do you wrong. You was out of order. And so you don't necessarily go back to clean up that I was out of order. You let it be. But then people see us hanging together when they be like, man, I thought you said, but I done caused a division with about 40 other people out here, but they see us back hanging together because I knew, well, Ray didn't necessarily do me wrong, I figured out. I just needed to sit for a minute and just to figure out, did somebody actually do me wrong, or did what I wanted to continue in was actually contrary to popular belief or contrary to the truth? And I identify with that. Because if I leave a situation, I'm going to know for a fact that, hey, I left because I wanted to do something and somebody didn't necessarily, if I got mad, but I would be able to identify with it. It wouldn't be more so, because I believe in loyalty, just point blank, period. Like, because I think that if we loyal, I can have a disagreement with you and nobody really even know that we got but me and you. It's not going, a lot of people are not really, I don't think, brought up in like being loyal to things or whatever, because if you were, you could have disagreements with people and it don't go no farther than you guys. You know what I'm saying? And it don't get brought up for a whole lot of other stuff to kind of happen. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their things that they're stuck on, but I always believed in it. And I always thought that's, I felt like I got that from watching my dad coming up. Because I never heard my dad, like, even when it comes to relationship-wise, I never heard him, like, speak on another woman in my presence. Like, I never heard him, like, say, like, man, I'm tired, I'm finna go holler at this female. It wasn't. Even if it was, not to say that they had crazy stuff going on, every marriage and stuff like has its problems, but I never seen him, like, bring that to us, you know what I'm saying, to be able to say, I'm going to go step out, or I'm going to go do this, or show me that example, and we hanging by ourselves. Boy, look, to encourage me to check out women or whatever, and I think that's where I looked at the loyal, side of, things or whatever, and I kind of related in the ministry and different stuff like that, because I could have a disagreement with an individual, but that don't mean I'm finna step away from the whole thing. And that's a problem with everything now, because people think that if one thing is wrong in your speech, that we should throw you all the way away. We shouldn't listen to nothing else come out of your mouth because it's this one thing. Nobody believes that we can agree on, have a disagreement about 2 points of views and not still be, have some type of relationship where we don't have to be fighting each other. Because every church is not the same. Every ministry is not the same. Every purpose is not the same that people are called to. Yeah, you may be called to go out and minister to people, but everybody's calling, it may look different in some sort.
Shout out to Apostle Dr. Lorinda and Chris King, In-Town Commission, C2L, love y'all. Y'all know y'all my people. I love y'all. I love me some Apostle Chris and Apostle Lorinda. I love them, man, in the ministry that they are doing. Like, it's just, they're awesome people. But we will just jump back to the testimony, you know what I'm saying? Not that we did anything wrong, just to bring it home. So like, yeah, all right. Let's pick up for, like, once you start getting you got saved, what do I do? Do I cut my hair? You know what I'm saying? And then you said you went back home and got high with the ex when she was trying to get you to. Well, the Lord was showing you that wasn't your wife. Yeah. And then, all right, so pick up from there, then to when you get back to Savannah State, and then you start walking it out.
Man, you kind of on point with bringing my memory back, man, and jogging it, man. I appreciate that, because it bringing me back to another area.
Hosting is getting my listening skills on point. I'm telling you, and then whatever I think I'm gonna forget, I jot it down on my tablet real quick.
So when I went home and God was telling me, before I left, that He was gonna show me that wasn't my wife, those things start happening. Like, I tried to kick it with her, and went to Atlanta, I remember, and laying up or whatever, and man, I remember feeling like I was burnt, like I was in the wrong atmosphere, like I was kind of burning up, like it's crazy. The experiences was crazy. What God was trying to get to show me or whatever, that I was in the wrong spot, like, because even the house that we were in, man, was that I went up there after I done got, you talking about being in like a house that had so much going on, people with all kind of lifestyles, and it was full of it, like the spirits was just on high, like I was just kind of open up sensitivity wise, because I'm talking about the whole you know, a lot of her people dabbled in like, you know, some people, a lot of people that she knew dabbled in like homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And so being around those atmospheres, it's like I could be around, before it was kind of like, I guess, okay in a sense, but when I came back home after getting saved, or when I came back after the holiday or whatever, it was like, it start kind of like what God was saying, no matter what
you say,
it's not. So I began to see all of it.
Yes.
And so it was like I was at the house hiding.
Yeah.
You know, this is a whole different story. I don't even know if I should go there or...
It's on you, bro. I'm good. However you want to go, I'm good.
But yeah, yeah, I remember being at the house or whatever, and because at that house they was doing a lot of like, because they was into the whole lifestyle of like the forgery and fake marriage license and fake everything, man. I'm talking about like company checks that look, you know, everything was just, you know, house full of just, man, crazy stuff or whatever. So after we left there, because I think she felt the separation happening, because she started trying to latch on tight, and it was like as if I was kind of slipping away in a sense, because she was like, hey, can we start over? You know, let's start over or whatever and start afresh, you know, and do things, you know what I'm saying, the right way and all this. And it was like,
Right.
I do things. Yeah, it's like kind of, let's start afresh. You done messed up. I done messed up. You know, let's do things, you know. But everything God kept showing, it was like, it was negative. It wasn't nothing that was going on. You know, it wasn't nothing coming of it in a sense. Like, so yeah, when I left there, we came home, and that club situation happened where I was running around there, and, you know, like she had introduced me using the drugs and stuff like that. So I had told God, you know, if I can get out of this situation, I'm not going to do it again. If I can get away. So when I got back to school, I went cold turkey, and I felt sick. I mean, I was like, everybody didn't know, but because I went cold turkey and I said, God was like, just don't answer the phone. So I'm talking about, and it's what people, you know, it's what we would talk about like with soul ties and stuff. Man, it was like sickening. Like it was like probably like trying to get over drugs or something, you know, and had to listen. She was steady calling, and, you know, it got to even point that, you know, somebody had died, and, you know, I couldn't answer the phone. Like I was like, well, God, somebody died. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to go there and be at the funeral. You know, I knew her dad. You know what I'm saying? I need to go to the funeral. And so I end up opening up the word. God told me to open the word. So I opened up the word, and it said, I mean, this is crazy. As soon as I opened up the word, it says, let the dead bury the dead.
Ooh. Come on.
And so after this, while I'm trying to go through the separation of being with her, God led me. He was like, read Proverbs 7. So I read Proverbs 7, man. When I tell you, it spooked me out, because the scripture is lined up the way I met my ex-girlfriend. When I was passing by her on the street, you have to read it. Yeah. So he showed the whole visual, the way I met her. Like, because see, she so-called claims she got me because she bent over in front of when I was passing by. But I was actually attracted to a homegirl. But she said it, so she bent over, and they were standing on the side of the road, like, and she saw me pass by, because people thought I was really doing my thing heavier than what I was, because my mama had bought me a brand new Expedition when I went to college. Like, so Negro, when they see me out in the street and I had my truck, they was like, oh, this nigga.
He moving big way.
So my mama had bought me that as a gift, because she always said, you know, if you get a full scholarship, I'll get you a brand new vehicle. And so I passed by him, and the scriptures is just lined up the way it is. So it spooked me when I read it, and it was like, hey, like, this is her in the scripture. So it was like God was kind of unraveling and started to pull it out, because it was like, man, her feet wasn't stable at home. He was like, she's saying that hey, come to my house. I have made a fine bed of linen, you know what I'm saying, for you to lie down on. Like, but it said that her bed is like the way to hell or whatever, the way to death. And I was like, wait, what in the world? I'm thinking like, how did this? But it played, because that's how it happened, She was really aggressive on me to try to pull me in. And it like after that, it was like, because I'm a destroyer of kings. And so it was like the whole time, it was like even when we was together, when I go back and look, it was really, it shut my mouth, because I was never able to express how I was feeling about a lot of stuff. Once we got in, I always had to listen to her problems. And I was never really able to express my problems. I had to deal with what she was dealing with. And that's why I know that when you attach yourself sexually with somebody, that you begin to take on the spirits that they're dealing with. Because before I messed with her, I could fool around and be good. Man, after I slept with her a couple times, the need for porn came heavy. The need for just strange, being intimate came heavy. Couldn't be pleased. It was just crazy. So it was like, that's why I tell, even kids, people, like, man, like, it's deeper than what you think. When you exchange and you mess with somebody, like, it's going. And so all that stuff, it became real heavy. It was like, wow. Wild to say the least, to be PG, just the lifestyle and, what we was dabbling into and stuff, everything. It was, it was wild. I forgot what else you had asked me, or you asked me what led to this.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's telling the story about how. How you knew that God was telling you, like, that ain't your wife, and I'm gonna show you.
Yeah,
so, like, this that process that's going on now, and then you finally cut her off.
Yeah, when I was trying to cut off at school and not answer the phone, man, like I said, I was sick, because I was actually, at the time when I had got saved, I was still kind of trying to sell. I ended up trying to sell some, because I ran into a lick. Everything was finna happen big when I got. Now, I had been trying to get my hands on some weight when I wasn't saved.
You don't need to do it.
But soon as I got right, I got presented with the opportunity to handle some major weight. I'm talking about like weight. And it was through a connection, you know what I'm saying, that my brother knew, and the person they needed hands on the outside because they couldn't do it from, because I even was, man, I'm trying to think, should I say some of this and make sure it's, I was still trapping or whatever when I got saved a little bit, selling. And so I was doing some other extra legal stuff or whatever. I remember reading after had been presented with this big opportunity, man, like to really get money. I'm talking about, I'm talking about straight, like eating. Because this dude still had like, couple meal might be, like hid type stuff. And so I done got right, and I'm still trying to do this. And then that was during the time, and every time I opened my word, God was like, boom, 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 boom. When you knew you're younger, it's there. And some of as you grow, you gotta search, so you gotta dig. And so I opened my Bible, and it said, don't let your hands be touching wickedness. And so I said, dang. So this is like, so I had to tell my, folks, no, what I'm saying, I can't do this, what I'm saying, no more. And I'm like, man, like now when I was out there, why this opportunity ain't come, what I'm saying, along or whatever. And so that was the beginning part of the growth. And right after when I came when you said what happened, like even when I cut her off, when God told me I had to let her go, and I did it as quick as I did and went through that process, and I hadn't just had cut, came back to Savannah State and I had my dreads cut and everything. And I went to the campus ministry house and showed them, like, look, I done cut my dreads, because nobody it wasn't forced. People a lot of times like to associate something when you become somewhere, oh, you just did that because these people told you to, or you just did. No. Like I heard God when I was home that told me, like, you want to detach yourself of things that still bring back up, old stuff. It's not to saying that dreads was wrong.
Correct.
It was just when I had it, what it was attached to.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that to be a misconception too, where people think that because somebody do something over here and convicted, that it means it's a conviction for everybody.
Bro.
It's not a conviction for everybody.
Bro,
and I got it.
Preaching.
Those that got cut for me personally and it wasn't somebody told me, hey, you got to go cut your hair. Because like I told you, at a satin, she said, listen to God. And when I was home, God was like showing me when I was driving around the street, he was like, that's attached to that, your lifestyle that you was. And it just made me like, okay, I need to start afresh and remove. But it wasn't saying that every man that grow their hair this way, they got to do it the same way you did it.
Correct.
So when I was when I got back to Savannah and I went as excited, showed them I had cut my hair, they had like a church lock-in at St. Luke Baptist Church. Because that's when Pastor Andre was with us at the time, and he had a connection to St. Luke, and we did like a church lock-in with the youth there. And that's when I had my Pittsburgh. That's when I first had my little Pittsburgh Pirates hat. Yeah, that's just the inside thing. But in the lock-in, we stayed overnight, there because he was praise, worship, and kicking it with the kids, celebrating and just having fun in a little church like sleepover. So while we was in the church lock-in, I'm in there freshly back from when I done let go of my ex-girlfriend and still dealing with that stuff. I hear a voice say, look up in the choir stand. And so I look up and it said, that's your wife. I said, what? Man, I jumped down to the floor like, God, please help me with this lust I'm dealing with. Deliver me from all this like lust. I ain't trying to be thinking about my sister in that way, going on. And so time progressed and I just left that in there. And I went to thinking at times that, God may call me to marry this person or that person, whatever. But God had already spoke to me who my wife was, but it was so quick. I felt like that's got to be me thinking up, something about who it is. And so, like when I was on a fast.
Did she impress you in any type of way before then, or was it just like
Nah, man. She impressed me.
Yeah, we definitely picked sarcasm in that one.
Yeah, no, because you try to when you trying to be super saint.
Yes.
You're young, you don't want to tell somebody you're attracted to something. And then certain attractions God don't bring up till later on, I think. And he starts showing me a pattern.
Yeah.
And this was here recently. He showed me a pattern, but basically, yes, I think I was attracted. And I think I brought it to before I shared that God had told me that was my wife. I had one day she was dancing, I think, in the street at a car wash, just kind of moving back and forth. And I kept looking and I said, man, she probably thinks she all that or something. Like, she one of them, look at her, because I even was trying to ask Apostle Lorinda, like, that girl there, Janika, she kind of, she one of them people can't get their hands dirty and like, try to act a little Hasidity or something.
Yeah,
or whatever,
there you go.
And so, me not thinking that was my attraction in a sense. And another part of it, I didn't think about it till later on. To matter of fact, I think maybe we talked about it like a couple weeks ago. I realized that I had a pattern that I was attracted to eyes, like big eyes, not like huge eyes, but like eyes that they just are bigger than normal eyes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was attracted to her, but it wasn't in like a bad way. That's why I was like, God, I must be doing some, lust or something because I ain't trying to think about her in this manner. And so after I did that, after I told her, no, I'm sorry. After God told me that, I just, like I said, I held on to it. And like maybe 3 months or so down the road, I went on a fast. Oh, we was in California. Matter of fact, we was in California and we was eating somewhere and it got blurted out to reconfirm in a sense. Because I think she might have told somebody that she was her husband was going to be a country man, a country guy, but with a city mindset. A country boy with a city mindset. And it just, it got blurted out at the restaurant. The apostle was just blurting out some stuff at a restaurant, just joking. But it resonated something. I was like, hold on. And I ain't think about it then. Time passed. I was on a fast. And I was at the dorm at Bostic Hall on Savannah State.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I was on my face in that dorm, down on my face praying. And God showed me this vision of me holding this girl's hand walking into my mom's house. And as I'm walking in my mama's house or whatever, I'm praying and in a vision, I'm holding this girl's hand and I'm saying, hey, mama, this is my wife right here. It's Janika. And I was like, I got up out of the vision.
You heard the name in the vision.
And I said, man, I'm tripping, God. What is going on? Why I'm thinking about this girl? Lord, forgive me. I said, but if you're trying to reveal who my wife is, your God of confirmation, you show me again. So I went back to praying. And he showed me these thumbprints in my vision that did like this twice. So I said, I ain't thinking about it. I left and I went over to the campus house later on that day and I was mowing the grass and God started talking to me about being a husband. And so I'm mowing the grass, get done, go in the house, and I asked about this flyer that's in the house. Hey, what's this flyer about? Because it was like a campus flyer of, I think, an oil spill or something that how the people be throwing them. I think Q-Dolls pass around some flyers. Somehow it was a flyer that was around. I'm like, man, what is this? And so she came over and grabbed the flyer and did her fingers just like this, like they did in the vision. And I was like, I didn't think about it. Later on, I'm talking to a brother, Joa, and he was like, man, don't go looking for it. It's going to be in your face. Don't go looking for them thumbs. It's going to be in your face. I said, man, they were in my face. She did it. I said, oh, shoot. I said, God, if you're trying to show me who my wife is, you got a confirmation. Show me again if you're trying to show me. So one day, I went to the cafeteria, and I went in there to get something to eat, and Deacon Torn was sitting at the table in the cafeteria, and he was smiling when I walked in the cafeteria. It's the strangest thing, man. It's like, I don't want to say strange, God, because you ain't strange.
That's right.
Interesting. I go over to the table, sit down, and he's like, I know what you want to talk about. He said, I knew who she was the day you came in the ministry. I don't even know if he remembered that. I'm like, God just had to be speaking through him or something. Like, he just started giggling. I was in the room talking about, like, man, because he told me in the vision to go talk to Runforth, to go talk to Torn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to talk to him, and he's already know what I'm coming to talk to him about, and we didn't exchange no words like that. He just said, I know what you want to talk about. I knew who she was the day you came in this ministry. And that was it. That was another confirmation. It was like, so I said, well, God, you're a God of confirmation. If that's what you're trying to show me again.
Not a confirmation, Jesus.
So when I was coming off when I come off a fast, I went to Burger King and I usually throw away my receipts, but I heard a voice tell me to keep my receipt that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at my receipt and her name on the receipt. So what I do is I say, God, I hear you. What you want me to do with this, from this point on. So I keep the receipt, put it away, and I go and exchange it. I went and told Apostle about it. Later on, after I had talked to somebody else that I knew was kind of quiet, they weren't going to say too much, and they just kind of giggled about it. and then I went and told the talked to Apostle about it. I was like, hey, I think I know who my wife is. She was like, who is it? And I said, Janika. And she was like, what I tell you, I'm not going to tell you if it is or if it ain't, because God ain't showed me. But what I will tell you to do is keep praying. And if it's of God, he'll reveal it to me. He'll reveal it to her. Left it like that. About a year and a half. I ain't say nothing to her, to my wife. Just laugh, like enjoyed the company because she didn't know. So I'm on 100. Because I'm like, I know who my wife is. She don't know yet. So I'm just juiced about being around, knowing something that you don't know, and knowing that, I know for a fact, because God done gave me about 6, 7 confirmations. So I know for a fact, so I'm just waiting for him to reveal it to her. So during that time, like, even at that time, like, I used to go out to eat. Me and Apostle would go out to eat because she was developing, an instrumental part of developing, like, how you need to be cordial, about taking a lady out. And so, like, she allowed me to kind of, it wasn't nothing.
Crazy.
It was just, she allowed me as me being, up under her, her being my leader.
She your sister in Christ.
Yes, allowed me
absolutely.
to be able to go out and, doing things. Because I had a rude perception of, after dealing with my ex-girlfriend about I just felt like I ain't doing nothing extra for you. Like, it is what it is. It's like, after dealing with her, it was just like, I ain't open no door. I'm not, you got on heels, because they corrected one time because I was finna make them walk down River Street in heels. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, y'all, I'm not taking y'all no farther. Y'all, this before, you know what I'm saying? So I needed some work, before. So this was helping me out, going out to dinner and ministering. That was kind of like counseling, and therapy and everything. So one of our times getting ready to go out, she called and she was like, she know. I said, know what? She know you her husband. And I said, how? So I'm going to try to tell the story as much as I can about how, but I never understand I never went on a date with her. We ended up courting later on, we found out, but I didn't go around her doing nothing. I ain't do nothing extra.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm talking about nothing, no, let me get close to you, see if you know. I was just cool. I actually kind of acted weird a little bit because we was actually kind of cool or friends a little bit. So I actually started acting a little bit weird because I didn't want to do anything to disrupt before God did what he was going to do and showing. And so God showed her. Apostle was saying when she was at the church one night, she heard my wife crying out on the altar, and she knew from the cry that God was revealing to her who her husband was. And I know one part of the story, my wife was saying that she started getting these feelings to pray for me randomly. And also in one of her prayers, there was this box she could never get past that had my name on it. That's correct. In her face. So God was downloading this thing. And so we didn't, when we found, it was a point we still held on to. We didn't even communicate after we told the same person, because we ended up telling the same person what we knew. And so a year and a half later, so I knew a year and a half before she came along and told Apostle Lorinda that God showed her who her husband is, And so that's the way it kind of, you know what I'm saying? And this happened a lot. It happened pretty quickly based on after when just being obedient to what God was saying with letting my ex-girlfriend, because I thought that was my wife, but God always sends a counterfeit, before he sends before you get the real thing sometimes. The counterfeit is always easy, accessible, and just a little bit cheaper than the real thing before you get the real thing. So, yeah.
The devil is saying the counterfeit.
Well, I ain't gonna say God, yeah.
The Lord, not the Lord.
Not the Lord.
devil.
The devil would send a counterfeit, and it'll be a little bit more accessible. It might be the Benz without the engine.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it'll be
that ain't no Bentley. That's a Chrysler 300, sir.
With the exchangeable grill on it. The customization kit.
That's it. All right, so God revealed it to you. He revealed it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then how you bring this thing together?
we was at a real spiritual. Whose wedding? That was Satin wedding. Yeah, Elder Satin and Elder Joel wedding. It got real. You know how.
And shout out to Pastor Lorinda for letting God be God and not interfering with the situation. Like, hey, I don't know. She ain't shun it. Hey, he ain't show me. But keep on praying, and all of us will know that. Shout out to her for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so everything was done properly. That's why it gets saddening when you hear certain noise sometimes from outside, because everybody that watches processes happen, they have their way of perceiving what they think happens. Because a lot of times we're focused on the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you won a championship. People may look at the last few games you won, but they don't look at what you was doing in practice to get there.
Correct.
So they automatically always, they see something on the rise and they think, where did you come from? And it ain't where did I come from. I've been here. It's just been the stuff that was working underneath. And I just finally got brought to
That's good.
the forefront.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was been.
Even on that, I like that you said that, because I'm grateful for how your story about how you said I got saved, but I was still selling dope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some people miraculously change, overnight. God has the power to touch and stop everything, but sometimes sanctification is a process. Sometimes you gotta go through the process. So yeah, I done gave my life to the Lord, but I still got these old ways. Yeah, I still sell me a little dope. But the difference is I'm listening to God now. God says stop that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, because a lot of people get saved, but then they don't really listen to God. You know what I'm saying? So then they end up going back. But yeah, you help somebody with that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody is trying to get right with the Lord, but they still struggling with something and feeling like they're unworthy of God's love, but that's not the case. Like, just keep on going with God. Keep listening to the voice of God, and you'll eventually get there.
Just humor me for a second. How did this man of God sell dope? Like, how did that look? Like, like what you like? Like, you saved, but you like. Just give me an example. Because visually,
they can't, like, when people hear, when students hear me talk about, when they see how I look, and they may be, hey, is you a minister, man? Is you a preacher or something? They can't visualize that look. They be like, you did what? But when they hear it, you can't deny it when something is truth, when you hear it.
No, bro. I'm talking about how you was saved selling dope. Like, like when you dropped it off, did you pray for him? Like, what did you do? Like,
check.
Nah, because I done got over the fact, okay, that was the old one. I get it. But no, you as a man of God still selling drugs. Like,
because
he was new.
Yeah,
I know. So like you like, God, I ain't hurting. Like, how did you rationalize that? I guess the question is, how did you make it okay for yourself until he really told you to stop?
I wish I could tell you this other story that's related to that, but it's a little graphic. You know what I'm saying? That relates to this too. But it's because it's funny at the same time, but it's graphic and it's like out of order. But I'm gonna try to give you the best example with this one too. But I was still bagging up the stuff or whatever, and part of it I can't tell. I don't know because I don't want to incriminate something that's not. How did they say? Either I still would bag up stuff. The conviction comes when, for instance, if I gave my cousin something and then his girl say something to him like, I thought Snoop was saved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, buddy.
And so that's when it'd be like, okay, something's wrong. This is, and so stuff like that would more so happen because I still be bagging up.
It's not gonna be the same.
Right.
And I'm loyal too, because I'm gonna tell most of my situation came because if you put the story together, what I was talking about in the beginning, most of my situation came from not when I was doing it then, I wasn't necessarily distributing 100% on the outside free world. it was being taken to a place, and being distributed in a sense. So it wasn't
So
necessarily.
your face wasn't out there.
Yeah, my face wasn't necessarily out there,
Right.
but the consequences was going to be terrible
Right.
from it, because what was the exchange and what I was doing was more severe, because not only I was finna be catching a extra case, not a state case, but the extra case for what I was doing in that.
People who know they picking up what you're putting down.
So I remember being in the dorm taking.
You say that on the mic. I am lost.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Oh,
Don't you?
That's good. Y'all green. It's all right.
green.
Yeah, but
okay.
I understand exactly what he's saying.
Praise
but
God.
for the ones that need to understand, they understand. But good, that mean you green.
Yeah, because it was getting ballooned up.
Yeah,
It was getting ballooned. So when I tell people,
we'll talk about it off the camera.
yeah,
I feel you in off the camera.
you get it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
situations like that would be it would be like, stuff like that would happen. Like they see something, they recognize, like, oh man, you sure you're supposed to be doing that type deal? And that's what, because I was saved or gave my life to Christ, and I think it's important to actually be around people that's discipleship.
There go again.
I think that I don't know if that gets highlighted as much, but that's the issue with people going through, like, even when you see your biggest artists and different people who give their life to Christ, a lot of them, they struggle because they don't actually go through discipleship.
Mm-hmm.
So the discipleship part of it is because I was with people. If I had, God had to organically do it, because if I had that same stuff back home, I can't say that I would have progressed, because nobody's really digging into you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's on the forefront, unless you get caught, unless somebody come tell that you was messing, it's not really on the forefront. Nobody's discerning a lot of times what's going on with you like that. So everything is just, you come in there, you gave your life to Christ, great, have fun. But it's not like, okay, this brother giving his life, okay, now let's disciple him.
Yes.
Let's have discipleship. So when it kick in there, it's like, okay, boom. Hey man, I noticed that you said that you want to do this, and I noticed this about you. Okay, boom. And so that kind of speeds the process along for people, because you look at Jesus, what he did is like what you can consider something we was learning in school, like a small group with discipleship. You know what I'm saying? So you think about it, most churches or different places take a discipleship model, it creates a concentration of, just like how a drink, when you take and you buy the concentrate part of it, and you can make a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you focus on people when they first get their life to Christ and it gets discipled, then it creates a concentration that can kind of be spread to other people. So that's why I think about it. It was only 12 people that created a concentration that affected the whole world. So if you take a small group or something and you create a concentration of it, then so what people may look and say, oh, because people would refer Jesus to a cult, because he took a small minded look at it. Because how did Peter get exposed? Because he sounded like, remember when he was trying to deny Jesus, and he said, well, nah, you sound like them people. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because they had been walking together. So there was a unity, and there's a unison there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the concentration in a smaller group with smaller people, it is able to kind of expand, instead of people giving their life and just falling into just a part of a church or a part of a body, or maybe never getting around to it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that when a person, they get their life to Christ, I think that discipleship is just so key to it. And most people don't get discipled to it. They people are afraid to say stuff, or they let them be, or they let them go on or whatever, let them develop their own way of thinking. No, you you have to be around people that actually kind of change your whole way of thinking about and rethinking. So I think that if I hadn't been a part of how God kind of organically put it here, then it wouldn't have sped a process. You know, it could be just getting around the things. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. Or you could live a life and thinking that it's okay because all the people that you're around, everybody kind of live the same way and live the same drawn out way or whatever, but they never kind of focus in on like the concentration of like a small, group. And I go back to that because I thought about it so profound, even though we talk about it, but it's actually 12, disciples that affected, look at thousands of years ago. So if you're taking that and you really go back to having smaller like units of, discipleship, then it's like it can affect, so much.
Good. That's real good. That's real good. You dropped that. Because we've been talking about discipleship the last couple of days. I can talk about what we talked about because gotta put things out. Gotta put husband and wife conversation.
Right, no pillow. Don't we don't express the pillow talk now? Come on.
But and I just think that God is really doing something with discipleship in this season because we've been hearing a lot about it.
Oh well, I'll say that part, honey. Like it in my mind, I'm thinking that's what you want to. I'm thinking I'm somewhat discipling. Right?
Somebody.
Some people, period. Like, I feel like, I'm a good example. I'm discipling because in our church, that word is coming up a lot, even in the prayer group, discipleship, right? And Ray was like, nah, honey, discipleship is like serious. Like, I'm talking daily walk, like daily in the word. And I'm just like, you just saying it because you know how like when people like sanctification, like it don't look the same on everybody. You know how we say like if you not saved if you don't look like this. Like I was trying to make it sound good to me, right? Mm-hmm. And then we had service first Wednesday night. Dr. Tamika walked discipleship down. And at the end of service, when we got in the car, I said, babe, you right. I ain't know you right. I'm just a good sister in the Lord.
I wouldn't consider that discipling. You're a great sister, though.
You're a great sister in Christ, but baby, you ain't discipling nobody, right? But this how God circled that thing back around. Why did I just do my first night of discipleship class 2 nights? Amen. That's how God circled that thing back around. Mm-hmm. Like, and Dr. Tamika, like, God just put everything in place. So what I thought, from what I saw, because you're right, we have never properly got discipled, like properly been held accountable. But that lady said she got a whole curriculum. I can't wait. I'm waiting on my curriculum right now, honey. Like, I'm excited. I am so excited because we need to know this. We need to know how to walk this thing out. It's great that you're saved. Great. Now what you gonna do? Because we're called to go and make disciples. But you can't make disciples if you ain't been discipled. That's good. That was good, honey. You ain't out me too much.
Yeah, it's truth. Because like even when we think about, when I came into the ministry and we did like the whole discipleship classes, it was like daily. It was you come in and it's a month of just drenched with the word. Worship, prayer, it's gonna it's gonna flip. It's not this new age thing where people is like wanting you can just be free and just call Jesus. It's a real but it's a foundational piece. And I think that Apostle, Loren and Apostle Chris, they did like an awesome job with being able to do that. Though we struggle at times and we may not always display everything that may be placed in us, but they did the discipleship part the right way. You know what I'm saying? It was like when we come in, it was like anybody that had given their life to Christ and was willing to go through, like a process. It was all like boom, boom, boom. It was like going through the word, learning about brother and sisterhood, learning about, salvation, armor of God, just everything, steps of what it takes, what I'm saying, to kind of go through it. And like you were saying, sometimes it may look like it. It may look like or thinking about being it, a disciple. When you look at it, and it's funny you talked about it because that's something that we brought up because it's something that's been on my mind maybe the last couple of weeks because it's in my classes. In one of my ministry classes I'm taking it. It's talking about, it's going through the whole discipleship part where it's making you create a plan of how to disciple somebody. You know what I'm saying? And how to, show. And it's crazy because the people in the class looking at like, oh, he's creating this stuff, but the stuff that I'm bringing up is just stuff that they've poured into us and given down to us or whatever. So it's not like I'm coming up with these fresh ideas.
Yeah.
It's something that they have, Apostle them already instilled into us and showed us how to actually create. How to, if somebody come and they need to be discipled. So you breaking down, they looking, okay, I'm breaking down the fact, okay, well, they need this many hours, a week. They need this much accountability. They need this much time in the word. They need to start with this scripture. They need to focus on this. They need to go through this for this week. And next week they go through this. Then next week they go through this. Mm-hmm. Then they get an accountability partner. Somebody that's going to call and make sure that they praying at the right time. Then it's going, because somebody had pointed something. I remember Brother Randy had said something to me or whatever not too long ago. It was so key. I don't even know if he was thinking about what he said. Because you think about it, but then he just was like bringing up, like, if you're going to be like a minister or a pastor or a so-called leader and you got some people that's following you, he was like, are they actually in your heart? If they're not in your heart, and I start hitting me, I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, I know I'm called to be a pastor, but are these people in my heart? You know what I'm saying? That I'm so-called, all these kids, all the kids that I coach, are they really ingrained in my heart? You know what I'm saying? Are they in my heart? And it started making me question to be like, okay, if I am going to disciple somebody or I'm going to lead them, then they got to be in my heart. Because if they ain't all that I'm thinking about and they on my mind to pray about or cover or be in tune with and to know what they need, then I need to kind of reevaluate my timing of thinking I'm called to do something or if I'm, I'm called to, I know God has called me to pastor, but are these people in my heart? Can I say all of them are in my heart that I'm supposed to be leading? You know what I'm saying? Are these people, or are they dare for me to say, I know these people, I'm cool with them, I talk to them, give them a little scripture here and there.
You a brother.
But are they in my heart? Do they affect me in a certain way? Do they call me to my knees, you know what I'm saying, to pray for them?
All right, well, Mr. Roland, I don't know where you got the camera or the microphone in my bedroom, but I don't need you to be listening to me and my wife's conversations no more. Because when I say you just verbatim talked about what we talked about, I can't make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. Literally, we just was talking about discipleship, and I was just like, I don't know, babe. Just you sound like, I think you're a great sister in Christ, but I don't think you're discipling anybody. And she's like, what you mean? I was like, are these people in your heart? Like, are they really in your heart?
Jesus.
And she was just looking like, yeah, like. It's dope. I just pray. Moments like this make me praise God because I'm gonna take a little tangent for a second. Even in our Purposely Married group, and me and my wife and I talk about how we kind of deal with each other. Like if we're in a situation where we not in agreement, we're just like, hey man, God, talk to your daughter, please. Or God, talk to your son. They wild right now. And then just like, and we love how God acknowledges that, and then He'll send answers like, yeah, this is the picture. So like, this is crazy how it's not crazy because like you said, God ain't crazy. Ain't nothing about God crazy. But it's interesting. It's peculiar how we literally just had this conversation. These are all the things that I was saying to her. Like, babe, I don't know. Not to shun who she is. She is an amazing sister in Christ. Amazing sister in Christ. But discipler, like, I don't know, man. I think you got a little work there. You know
don't
what I'm
worry,
saying?
I started the night. I started my class.
I think you got a little work there. You know what I'm saying? But I love how God is like kind of just bringing it full circle, and it's dope. It's dope. It's marvelous to see it come to pass in this type. But Is this class open for the public?
It's in my doctorate program,
Okay.
and I think it's open far as if you're in that course of Now, we could talk. Yeah, we could talk off
I
line,
was
but
gonna say,
it's,
like, if somebody listening to this and like wanted to be disciple, like, is this something that they could reach out to you for, or is this something that you'll begin to do on the grander scheme of things or something like that?
well, I'll say when it's time, I would say that, but far as them taking, you mean far as them taking the actual class that I'm taking?
Mhm.
Well, the class that I'm taking is within my degree program.
Mhm.
So it's not like a specific where it's just kind of singled out.
Okay.
Now the information, could be different. It could probably be discussed information wise,
Mhm.
but you got a question?
I was going to say the discipleship classes that he's referencing that he's sharing in his class were the beginning steps to joining the campus ministry.
Yes, gotcha.
And so those were public classes, like
Yeah.
for anybody that, say we met somebody and, they love the Lord or they gave their life to Christ or they just wanted to be a part of a community, then it was, well, you come out because we have in process of purity.
Yeah.
Come out Monday at 7. And so the people in that class were a mix of students, people you ran into in the street, it was whoever wanted to know about God.
Gotcha.
Whenever they came across somebody that was connected to the process of purity, but it was wrapped up in the preparing the individuals that were joining the campus ministry, because the preparation was to make that person ready for being a saved person in that time.
Gotcha. Yeah. So thank you, because that's pretty much, because that's why I was kind of relating it to the fact that because we've been trained that way, and what Dr. Apostle Lorinda, Apostle Dr. and Apostle Chris have taught and trained us, it made it, instead of having to go through a whole lot of in the class of trying to figure out this stuff, it's already stuff that they've implemented and been trained. And so it's like, for instance, you taking a business class right now on entrepreneurship, but you're an entrepreneur. So every question that they ask you in the class, it's gonna be like, why am I taking? Why they're gonna be like, dang, Ray, man, you profound, but you like, I got fully committed, 100% repent. You know what I'm saying? I got the T-shirts.
I'm actually doing this stuff.
Okay, so while you're in your degree and you getting that master's or your degree in business and entrepreneurship, you're an entrepreneur. You're just in there getting the terminology.
Gotcha.
But you can throw out a whole plan of how to run a business. When they say, hey, can y'all develop a business model? Oh, I'm struggling with it. You like,
yeah, this is the business that I'm already running.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So that's how it is.
Gotcha.
Like what I was talking about with my class relating it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
This is something we've been through. This is something we're going through. So then I can, in this class that they're asking these questions, she's already prepped us and already given that through us through process of purity and discipleship classes already.
Gotcha.
So that's where the plan would come from. It's not a plan that Roland have, and this plan has come down, it's handed, and it's just trickled.
Got you. Yeah. Well, I just thought it was just so dope because, like you said, sometimes we over spiritualize things and we just, expect. I know. I just thought your question. Now you see how I feel when you do it. We lend too much on the spirit. Oh, catch it in the spirit. We over spiritualize stuff. So sometimes we need practical steps. What can I do? Give me. He talked about steps today in service. It's like you don't get upstairs by jumping from the bottom to the top of the steps. You have to take it one step at a time. And sometimes the Holy Ghost is amazing, it's powerful. The Spirit is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask a thing. But sometimes we just need practical steps. a thing of something that we could follow, a template that we could follow
Yeah.
that could possibly get us somewhere. So when you like, when it sounded like curriculum, I'm like, hold on, we need to send people to this because you know churches ain't really doing these type of things these days. So like that's dope. Like yeah, people need discipleship.
I do want to say in this moment how God is moving. Because this is a full circle moment for me. Usually, you know, when the guests come on, well, we always get blessed. Like we're just having people in our home doing the podcast. But it was one of those things where the prayer group started mentioning it, you know, heard it here and there, and then it started picking up some more. And it's like, is this something I'm supposed to be doing already? You know, like I think I should be doing. Oh, maybe I'm already doing it, right? And so when the conversation of Ray and I had, and then like even with the, talking to Dr. Tamika today, and now you're sitting here, God is just confirming it. And like how he was saying, over spiritualizing it. It wasn't nothing that I said. I wanna disciple people. Remember that was part of the conversation. Like we didn't say like we want to disciple people. Just like, have you ever discipled anybody? But just to hear it come back and back and back, and literally you're talking about your testimony, but we talking about discipleship right now, and it's just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. And I just bless God for that, because I was like, I don't want no more jobs. I'm done. I don't need no more jobs. I don't need no more tasks. But whatever the Lord says, that's what we are going. That's what I'm going to follow. That's what we're going to follow. So I just bless God for that, because I wouldn't have even, you know, I thought, you know, I just thank God, like in this moment, like just to hear, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think the other day was something too that kind of stood out when it came to that, and it made me look at, you know, my leaders. Not like I didn't look at them in a great way, but it made me look at another angle too. Because even though we talk about it, because even when it came to discipleship, it was like you watch the steps that Apostle Lorena took with us, and you see what Jesus, the steps he took. Because, and not saying that you're idolizing person. I'm just trying to paint a picture. When he discipled, he was amongst them.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He had to be amongst the 12, and he actually had to walk it out and show them through walking it out. It wasn't like all his lifestyle was having to disciple them as well as his words discipling. You know what I'm saying? So it's like having to be amongst, you know what I'm saying? Be amongst them and actually go through the process of it. And it looks different, you know, from a lot of places that you might grow up or attend, because you might hear about it, but somebody's perspective on doing it, it may be just a little bit here. It may not, like you say, be the whole practical steps, but the practical steps too be you actually being able to be up under you, or being able to walk with you and see that his faith is like this. You there when their faith is tested. You know what I'm saying? So you there on the boat when it was rocky. So you got your response and you got their response on how they respond with their faith, the person that's discipling. So it's discipling you, it's telling you about it, but it's also showing you how to react to the situation, because I'm within it and I'm with you in the situation with it. So they're kind of walking with them within it. It's not more so just projecting and saying, I'm going to teach you and tell you this. No, I'm showing you through my lifestyle that I had to believe for this. You know, I'm showing you through, you know, my walk. So people from the outside looking in, they may be like, oh, that's crazy. Why would you do that as a shepherd? Why would you do this? Or why would you lend your, you know, time in that manner or be like that or whatever the case? But then you go back and you look at scripture and you see that he had to be amongst them. Like he had to correct all that. When they come with their way of thinking about, hey, we run out of food or run out of this, I have to show you there's another way, you know what I'm saying, to be able to believe in this area or whatever. So discipleship, it just takes on a full, you know, a different meaning when it comes to that, and it show you that, hey, I ain't did everything I was supposed to when it come to, if I'm saying I'm kind of discipling, you know, people, whatever.
As we wrap up, man, what would you say to the brother or the sister that's out there in the streets and feeling that, or no, maybe not even feeling that tug? They may just happen to run across this episode. Like, what would you say to that person that's just they a disciple in the street? They a gangster disciple. But we need you to be a disciple of Jesus. Like, what would you say to those?
Man, the cliche is anything is possible.
Hey, it is.
Cliche is anything is possible, but I would advise, people to more so get to the core of who they are. And going back to the reasons why you were attracted to certain things or why you wanted to be part of a gang or be a disciple in the streets, because there's some truth to it there of why you actually want to be part of like an organization or just that lifestyle, and man, I would say, getting back, get to the core of, who you are. I'm just trying to think, man, I could say so much in so many different areas, but just trying to think about one solid piece of advice, that I could offer outside of getting to the core. Because I say get to the core of who you are, because those things that you have interest in, that you have likes in, God had a purpose for them from the jump. Somewhere or another in there, you got conditioned to go after it in the wrong manner and to appease the flesh, and to go after the things that we were taught or thought that was the way, in a sense, to be. Like being able to and get around some positive influences, get around some people that actually think positive, actually step out in the stuff that you wouldn't see yourself, stepping out to doing, and listen to sound advice, sound instructions, even if it's stuff that you don't want to do, but being able to just heed to the voice of wisdom. People like y'all was telling me earlier about, was there anything with your mom being able to see dreams like that? Was it anything that kind of prompted you to be like, oh, shoot, I don't need to do this or whatever the case? Like go with that feeling of not needing to do something, really get around somebody that can actually add like more of a positive influence in your life. Even if you're not in the position of saying you want to go after Christ, but just wanting to be able to do the right thing, get around people that are doing the right thing. And even if it, don't feel good, starting off, but just get around people that are doing something positive, and impactful, because that lifestyle is very short-lived. And everybody is not blessed to come out of it with a testimony.
Come on.
They're actually, some are living testimonies and some are testimonies of what not to do because they're in the grave or they behind bars spending the rest of their life. So it's a short-lived life, no matter how you put it, no matter how they rap it, no matter how it's sung, no matter how it's shown. It's a short-lived, and is it worth it? Is a few years of fame or slight bit of street fortune, is it worth, a lifetime of having to deal with pain, So you can actually be the example of the person that come out, or you can be the example of what not to do, be told stories of why not to do situations. So, yeah.
That's it. Hey man, well, if like you said earlier, if you wanted to turn your story into a movie, if you do, I like to act. I've been doing my acting thing. You know what I'm saying? I had my first role about a year or so ago. Shout out to my cousin Reese. I've actually been casted for another role, so I'm about to have my second role here, and I would definitely love to be. Went to my sister Takia. I already told her when she turned her story into a movie or a play, I would be in it. So I'm telling you too.
Who you gonna be?
If you turn this thing into a movie or a play,
you gonna be him?
Huh?
You gonna play him? Because if you gonna play him, I'm gonna play the girlfriend.
You is hilarious. I can't. Nah, I'm a 40. I'm about to be a 40-year-old man.
Hey,
I can't play a young role.
But man, the way they do acting and stuff now, it be, we grew up and you see these people, you be like, bro, you was 40, 30 years old playing a high school student.
Yeah.
But I will say it's other stuff I want to say, and we probably when we talk offline, because it's some things. It's just this is like a part of side of it, like it's. Yeah. It's just trying to be. I don't like to say trying to be cautious because I like to be able to unveil everything that's like. But at the same time,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man, we appreciate you for coming, sharing your testimony. You good? I'm good. I know. Yeah. What, Grandma? Grandma, you good? You good? Grandma's good. Grandma Josie is in the building, y'all. Mother Rawls is in the building. Yeah. But bro, Roland, we end our.
Miss Jackson.
Oh, sis, you good? You good? All good. Is all hearts and minds clear? That's what church. Amen. We end our episodes. We like to ask our guests, do you promise to be committed, fully committed, 100% of repent, so help you God?
yes, Lord.
Hey, look, by the confession of your faith, we would like to present to you your very own fully committed t-shirt. Welcome
Appreciate
to the Fully Committed Gang. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Hey, man, I told you, boy, listen, I heard the little bit of the story at another event, and I was like, hold up, man, yeah. And that man was talking about how he used to sell dope. I said, bro, I got to get you on the podcast to hear this whole story. So it took us a little second to get it, but we got it. Y'all see it. I hope y'all be encouraged. Y'all be blessed. To that brother that's selling that dope, put it down in the name of Jesus. Put them checks down. Put that dope down. Put it all down. Cause watch this. After you seen this episode, it don't matter what you do, it ain't gonna be the same. It
ain't gonna be the same.
You done seen it. You ain't had to go to church. You stumbled across FCPG Testimonies podcast with the host with the Holy Ghost, Grayce and Mercy, his brother Roland Jackson, and yeah, the Lord done got you. So cut it out and come back for the next episode. Look at episodes. And see y'all next time. Until then, we are out. And this here is FCPG Testimonies. What's up, everybody? I like to talk to y'all about life insurance. I know nothing says fun like planning for the unexpected, but just hear me out. Listen, life is unpredictable. 1 minute you're sipping on your morning coffee, the next you choking because you laughed at some corny joke on a Christian podcast. Or maybe you a DIY expert. You don't need no ladder. You just gonna stand on this wobbly chair. Next thing you know, you're airborne. Congratulations. You're an acrobat. That's why life insurance exists. Because life is full of surprises and some of them aren't that good. So do your future self a favor. Call me or my wife at Guarded by Grayce Insurance Agency and get yourself covered. Your loved ones and your questionable life choices. Well, thank you. Or, you can just keep living on the edge and we'll have to do a GoFundMe to put you in the dirt. I won't be giving my money to it, though. That's right. Call Guarded by Grayce Insurance Agency. It's GBG for me.